The professionals are live. We are alive and kicking after our Halloweener celebration last night. We're going to probably talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to get into the subject. And what we're going to talk about today, tonight, is where are we going to be in 5 years? You know, you hear that a lot. Like, where are you going to be in 5 years? Where are you going to be in 10 years? You know, what's your prospects? You know, all that kind of stuff. And I think, you know, since we've all broken away from our mainstream jobs and all that, we have all kinds of great new questions to ask. Like, where will we be? Where will we be in 5 to 10 years? What are our plans for our IPs? Where do we see, you know, our careers going? Since we're kind of blazing a new trail at this point in time, we don't have our corporate overlords to kind of spell it out for us. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm Art Thibert. I'm broadcasting from Pack Shack Studios. I've been doing this for almost 40 years now. And I think collectively with all the other professionals, we probably have well over 100 years of experience and dreams and projected futures to share with you. So without further ado, we have a newborn. We have a baby in our midst, and his name is Andy KOR-DRATH Smith. Look at that clean-shaved baby face.
Clean. I'm Dr. Evil. $1 million.
$1 million.
It's No Shave November. Nobody freak out. 30 days from now, I'm not shaving anything, so that includes up here. So in 30 days, it'll all be the same length.
So do you get stubble? Do you get stubble up here? Can you grow? Where does it grow out here?
The U, that good old U shape. So up here, nothing, but on the sides, baby, you'll see.
Is the U called the Caesar? And then what's the one where it's just like the top?
The crown?
Like the crown.
Who has that? I've never seen anybody lose hair.
Isn't it like the Friar Tuck or something? Like
yeah, but I think that's an actual haircut. I don't think that's
real.
Yeah, that's like a real haircut.
Well, since I don't have that problem, it doesn't fall out from back here.
Bitch.
It doesn't fall out from back here. How does it work? Does it go from the front?
It
back?
recedes back. It goes back. So male pattern baldness usually is, you know, your hairline's here and it just recedes back, but for some reason it doesn't really affect the sides.
Well, Andy, do you have a pin in your hand? Why don't you draw where your hairline used to be on your head?
I could do that with a Sharpie, but I'm not going to. I could put it. I had a pretty good hairline. It was about here. Hold on, let's see.
Okay, this is where it was. This is the measurement.
Yeah, it was crooked too.
Just it was lopsided.
Yeah, it was up there.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's not bad. Well, let's bring in
forehead. So
let's bring our next.
That looked like a doctor.
Yeah, I almost said something really bad, but I'll try to be nice. He is ghostly. He is MATECUMBE. He is the creator of the Batman villain that we know of as Bane. Well, he's co-creator with Chuck Dixon. The man, the myth, Graham Nolan. What's up?
Hello. Well, Anthony, you are incorrect. That the yarmulke thing, I had that.
Get out of here!
Yeah,
you lost hair here.
I had plenty of hair on the head and on the front, but then like if you look down, there was like a circle back here, and
you
that's
had
why
the friar
but I'm just gonna shave it all off. Like I could, if I did No Shave November, I'd have hair, but if I went like that, it'd be a circle.
You know what? That's completely
Art. Real quick, I thought you meant what is it if people just have a circular thing of hair right there?
No, I meant like if they fit.
Yeah, that's a bald spot, but that's where
right.
It started on me. It actually didn't start receding. It started as a spot, then worked its way forward.
Okay, because I saw Glenn Danzig on stage. Long story, but we got backstage and everything. My daughter and we met him at a con, and everybody's rocking right, and he turns his back to the audience. And I noticed, you know, you sweat a little bit when you're on stage, and I noticed the light was kind of bouncing off like the back of his head in a weird, unnatural way. And then I was like, oh shit, that guy paints his hair in. That's a bald spot, man.
Yeah, they got that spray that people use.
Yeah.
You got to be really desperate. I mean, how about the people that wear toupees? I mean, you got to wake up every morning and be afraid if it's a windy day. you know. And who are you fooling? Are you doing this to meet women? So you pick up a woman and you bring her back home, and things are getting romantic, and she runs her fingers through your your hair, and all of a sudden, boop.
Do you remember that Three Stooges? They're in a courtroom.
Yes.
And then they start playing the violin, and then he pulls the wig off that guy.
Yeah.
And they're like,
stuck on it. Because
they're like,
tarantula.
A tarantula. They start stepping on his hair. But I had a friend, and this is a guy that I know you guys know. And the thing about people that wear toupees that don't let you in on that they wear toupees is you have to kind of perpetuate the lie, right? You have to pretend like, well, yeah, it's his real hair. It's like it's normal.
Wow.
It's like at least a disclaimer, right? To say, yeah, I know it's not my real hair.
You gotta own it, man.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of owning it, we got Aaron Lopresti. He's the people's champ. You got snookered.
He's on the phone too. How rude! Bounce him out of here.
Oh, let's
bring in Teen Sensation.
Let's bring in the Teen Sensation. He's not going to shine on our audience, our brilliant CG audience. What's
I'm
up,
all in for the bros. Oh, hang on.
This guy doesn't know anything about male pattern baldness.
No.
Look at that. Look at that mess.
Yeah, but I got a haircut today. Nobody in my family noticed.
Well, let me see. All right, show it off. Well, don't do that.
Say hi.
Show it off. Here, show off your hair.
Hi. Love you.
Ooh, look at that.
And Billy, may your hair be masculine hair.
Ooh, look at that haircut.
High tight, baby.
Cut, man. That is a good.
Hey, cut. Andy, I got a serious question. No shave November. Are you shaving the balls, the nether regions, or are you gonna let that just grow wild?
No, man. That's when you have a massive hair in a certain area, you keep it. You don't mess with it. You shave it once, it might not come back.
It's like the cushion, like in the.
That's right. I don't need to look like a little baby everywhere.
Oh my god.
Size wise,
it's so funny because everyone says when you talk about hair is that since I've been getting my hair cut at the same barber for 25 years, and the same guy cuts my hair, and he says you have hair like a baby. I have like baby hair because I have real fine hair.
It's real fine, yeah, but it's there.
Usually, but it's there. People with fine hair lose it, so you're lucky.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember I had a kid in high school, and he was like, "Yeah, you'll be bald by the time you're 25." I'm like, "Well, fuck it. It is what it is, that right?"
Yeah.
And what is Tucci? Is Tucci Italian?
Yes, but I'm not a Tucci. I'm born in Elliott.
Okay,
I'm Sicilian on my mother's side. Everyone on all my brothers, we all have our hair. And all my uncles on my mother's side, they all have their hair. Everyone has their hair.
It's like the Italian curse, man. You guys, like Italians, like they hit a certain age and they lose their hair, but they gain it in their chest areas and other places. But let's.
So that dude, he told me, he's like, you're gonna be bald by the time you're 24, 25, and I was like, whatever, you know.
And then what Humphrey Bogart said.
And then at the 10-year high school reunion, he was there, and he was
head that makes the man.
What's that? At our 10-year high school reunion, he was fucking bald. That's funny.
So what'd you say, Graham?
Humphrey Bogart once said it's the hair on the chest, not the hair on the head that makes the man.
Yeah, see, I can't grow hair on my chest.
Uh-oh.
It's good to see that Bogey's dead.
Well, in that case, it's the guy with the biggest guns. That's the manliest. But let's change the perception here. How many of us like pineapple on our pizzas? Okay. Well, the perception isn't very good for this guy right here. I happen to like pineapple, and I do like the perception. We have the brilliant and pineapple-ist member of the Professionals, and is he the youngest, or you the youngest, Andy?
No, he is.
He is? Okay, and the youngest member of the Bros, we have Dan Fraga Boom.
Hey, if you guys talk about hair pieces one more time, if anybody mentions a single hair piece one more time, there's going to be hell to pay.
Wait a minute.
Nice. That was like a Tales from the Crypt episode that they did one time when they did a TV show. It was called Hell to Pay. And it was about this toupee that would get on people's heads and crush their skulls or something.
It's a tarantula. It's a tarantula. Well, Well, we tried to do this before. We'll try it again. I don't see a phone attached to this guy's ear this time. He is the people's champ. He got robbed last night.
Wait, yeah, I missed it.
Yeah, the great Aaron Lopresti.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I was waiting on a call from for a small construction job, and of course they called the second you brought me in, so I had to take it. I couldn't blow them off. But anyway, I am here, and see, my balding pattern went like this, and then circular in the back. So I had the spot in the back, but then along the sides here too. So like if I grew my hair out, it would go like whip and whip, and there would be nothing here. So
we all have different patterns.
It's like a horrifying thing.
Mine did the Bruce Willis. As soon as I was 20, I lost these. And then I was like, I kind of came to grips with it. And then this bad boy said, hey, let's meet in the middle. And then it went out.
How old were you guys when you lost your hair?
20.
40.
50. 50.
Yeah. I was very upset about it. I had great.
Well, I had a roommate in Huntington Beach, and it was sad. It was sad. He was losing his hair by the day. Like when I moved in to become the roommate, he had a beautiful head of hair, and by the time I left, like a year and a half later, he was almost completely bald.
Wow.
So you would see clumps of it, like in the shower. You see clumps in the bathroom. You see clumps all over the house.
Are you taking any responsibility for that, Art? Because
I could.
you had it before you got there, and you didn't have it when you left.
Stress a motherfucker out, man.
Well, I do bring a certain level of stress.
My brother-in-law, he met my sister-in-law when they were like 23, and my father-in-law, like I could never wear a ball cap going into my Debbie's parents' house because my father-in-law would, take your hat off when you walk in, and Lauren pleaded with him, like, please, he's losing his hair. So he always had a white baseball hat on, but he then shaved his head when he was like 24, maybe, and he looks exactly the same, like 12 years later, whatever, however long they've been married. Like if you shave your head early, if you lose your hair early, right? And you shave it.
Yeah.
What if I lose my hair now? Art, what if we lose our hair now? And forget, they're like, what happened to you?
Look at Telly Savalas. Hey, he looked the same from 1960 to 1980.
Look at Don Rickles from 1960
that's it. I've had a
2015.
I've had a shaved head for 26 years.
Wow.
And I tried to fight it till I was about 23. Ball caps, colored my hair to make it, distracting, that sort of thing.
Did you color your scalp?
No, I didn't. No,
not like
just,
Danzig.
Danzig spray paints his head.
Yeah, he does.
F Danzig, you know what I'm saying?
That's why I brought it.
But hey, I want to say, I know you did. I want to thank everybody that's in our chat that watched Fragtober last night. I want to thank Andy Smith for coming and keeping us company. Ethan came in, kept us some company, and Shane Davis as well. I thought it was a good show. Very showmanshipish.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
The ending was the best part. That was hilarious.
Yeah, the wolf.
When
the wolf
what happened? What's the controversy, guys? Aaron Lopresti. Remember, it's just a game.
Well, just know John Malin was freaking hilarious.
What,
man.
you guys have a
was.
drawing contest? You versus John Malin was in a drawing contest?
And Rini and Dan.
Yeah.
And Aaron was actually on the phone, not with the contractor, but he was actually begging Malin for that belt. It's okay. You can say it.
No.
That's not how it went down.
No, I take it in stride. There's a lot of factors involved in winning, and I did not exercise all the factors in my favor.
It's not a drawing contest. It's really sort of a test your might. There's shit talk involved. There's riling up the crowd involved. There's your Twitter skills.
Your Twitter skills.
It's like expecting Spike Dudley to be a better shit talker than The Rock, and that's just not going to ever happen.
It's not going to happen. Well, Rainey tried too. Like Rainey tried where she put like the cute pictures of herself as a cat and everything.
Oh yeah.
Vote for me tonight.
I tried
posting those pictures before even.
Yeah, you got to get that up there.
I drove back, if I may, I drove back from the Baltimore Comic-Con, and there was construction on 95 and the Jersey Turnpike. It took me almost 7 hours to get home.
Oh,
So I was just beat, so I
Wow.
grabbed something to eat. Well, no, I was eating on the show, I think. And then once Ethan put that movie on,
Dude,
Curse of the
I
Eight
was
Moons-
in a
Eight
similar
Moons
boat.
Bride, where the gorillas Bride of the Gorilla. Oh, my, that
I
just
was-
took me out. And I'm like, I'm
I
going
was
to
in
bed.
a similar boat, Billy, because I drove home from Tennessee, and it said when I left, and I left at 4:30 in the morning, and they have an hour time difference. I thought I was going to get home in time. There was an accident that rerouted, and then the reroute had another accident.
Oh.
6.5 hours.
Oh,
And then last night or yesterday, between meetings and Halloween, and then doing Fragtober, I drank a third of a bottle of whiskey. I had
Yes, sir.
4 beers. Of course, I was smoking.
that goes without saying.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. I woke up this morning a little hungover.
Well, you handled it well. It was a great show.
Yeah.
Speaking of last night, I mean, how was everybody's Halloween? How was yours, Andy?
That was great.
It was good. We had, before the King started, we had a bunch of little kids and stuff. My daughter, she's 19, so she deals with handing out candy with my wife on the front porch. So, because I came up here and they said it was about 7:30 when it died down. So, a bunch of little kids. So, yeah, it was good.
Cool. How about
And we
you,
have lots
Graham?
of leftovers.
We didn't have a ton of kids. We had a couple flurries of like large groups of kids, but then that was it. Then it was dead. So Julie and I watched Night of the Demon.
Oh, nice.
Classic.
That's awesome that your wife watches horror movies with you.
Yeah,
I
mine
mean,
would.
never will.
Yeah,
Never
she
has,
loves
never
the
will.
classics.
Nope.
The classic horror. She doesn't like gore movies or anything like that, but the classic ones she loves.
that was Dana Andrews in that, wasn't it?
Yep.
I
Yeah.
think I started
Creepy
off.
movie.
I started off
So great.
really bad with my wife because we tried to do that early on, and so I rented when you could go down to Blockbuster. I rented The Exorcist and Jacob's Ladder, and she got about a third of the
weird
way through The
combination.
Exorcist.
Yeah.
And then she's like,
Did
"I'm
you get
done."
the remastered one where Reagan comes down the stairs like a spider?
Nah, this was probably 30 years ago.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy. Well, how about you, Aaron? What did you do?
Well, we have a dog that barks like crazy, as you know, anybody that watches my live streams occasionally will find out that. And he doesn't just bark. He like attacks people and jumps on them. He doesn't bite, but he just is like super hyper out of control. So answering the door every time that someone rings a doorbell is just not going to happen. So what we did was we put the big bowl out front, please take 2, leave enough for everybody kind of thing. And yeah, I know we didn't have, and plus I was live streaming last night. Like we had Comicsgate Kings and then Dan's show right during prime trick-or-treating time. So I couldn't have the doorbell ringing the whole time and the dog barking. So we just put the bowl out there, and we didn't have that many kids because I can hear, it was a little wave for about 30 minutes and everything. But other than that, it wasn't too bad. But we went down there and the bowl was clean. So I'm telling you, somebody went whoosh like that at some point during the evening. And because there was over 100 pieces of candy out there, and we did not have 50 some kids come by.
That's why you
I
gotta have
like that Aaron
a
counted them
camera.
all. That's
You
right.
have cameras. I have cameras, right? So I'd be able to tell which neighbor was the dirty dog.
Well, we have in this neighborhood, the last couple of years, we've had people like drive in and drop their kids off in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
Trick or treat.
Yeah.
Our neighborhood used to be like that.
Yeah.
They bring them in minivans and drop them off. But now there's new neighborhoods where people set up these gigantic displays. This one guy who was an engineer at Fisher Price, he's got this giant mechanical spider up on something, and the spider comes crawling across the street.
No way.
Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow.
Bro, you got to get that flamethrower and torch that sucker.
Just like the thing, man. Just
Light it up, baby.
Well, we found this house. This guy was awesome. He had one of those, you can just buy these stock like inflatables, and this is a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. This huge display, right?
That's cool.
And so what he did is he was hardcore into Ghostbusters. He had like suits of all the Ghostbusters, all 4 of them, had the proton packs, but instead of them being in human form, they were in skeletal form. And
Neat.
so he had like the streams, and they're all like whacking the Stay Puft guy, and it's all lit up. Like it's like what are those rope lights? And but it kind of like
LEDs.
Oh, yeah,
it
yeah.
pulses, and it's like
That's
pop, pop, pop,
neat.
pop, 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 and then the impact pop, 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 pop. And wow, that was insane.
Did
And
you
it
shoot
was
any video of it with your phone?
I got a still of it in the daytime, but I didn't get anything in the night. So it looked cool in the daytime, but not as awesome.
Well,
at
next
night.
year
You
we're gonna put-
California guys know Bob Burns?
Bob Burns.
Yeah.
No, it sounds
Bob Burns
familiar,
was
but
a
no.
character actor. He usually played gorillas. He even had his own gorilla suit. There was a Saturday morning filmation show called The Ghostbusters, long before there was original Ghostbusters, and it was Larry Storch and Forrest Tucker were these two guys, and they had a gorilla that Bob Burns played. But anyway, Bob Burns is also a big collector of memorabilia, Hollywood memorabilia and stuff. He owns the armature, the actual armature of King Kong. You know, after all the plastic is melting, fur is
That's
melting
why
off.
I know that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So during Halloween for many years, what he would do, he'd get all his actor friends together and his Hollywood people, and they would pick a movie, and then they would build a set out in front of his house. Like they did Thing from Another World, and they built all the Arctic stuff, you know, and then they would have an actor wearing the actual costume and stuff of the Thing, and the kids from the neighborhood could go through. And if you search it out on YouTube, you can see some of these because they filmed them. I think that went up all the way through the 1980s before they stopped doing it. But that would have been so cool to see this, you know, these great, you know, things built up with real Hollywood props and stuff and actors.
I just typed in Bob Burns, and apparently he was the drummer for Leonard Skinner and died in that plane crash.
Wait, was he Hollywood's go-to guy for the apes of the 50s and stuff like that?
He probably had the only suit. He had the only suit.
Oh,
You know
so
what's
Bob
good
Burns'
to
gorilla
follow?
suit has an IMDb credit.
Really?
Yeah, I saw that. So Dan, what did you guys do?
We took the kids. We it's our first year in this house for Halloween. It's also Sammy's first year kind of understanding what it is. You know, she's 3.5, and she was Sally from Nightmare.
She was Nightmare, but yeah, I saw the costume.
Yeah,
it was cute,
and the cool thing about our neighborhood is it's a I guess the definition of a drive, like when something's called a drive, is where, you know, it's got an outlet or whatever.
like a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, well, yeah, our neighborhood's U-shaped, you know, so we just went down through the U. Kids got candy. It wasn't crazy busy. My brother David's house was madness. Like it was like you guys described, people importing children in. My brother said they went through 2 bags of candy, like big bags, and they were gone, and we still had like a whole bunch left, you know. But neighborhoods ebb and flow, you know. It's like my neighbor next door, Jim, before he passed away, he said he'd been here for 33 years, and it, you know, it used to be a neighborhood with a lot of kids, but all those kids grew up, and like the kid across the street, Will. He does my lawn. He just turned 18, and he's like the last of the kids, you know. And then my kids are the new kids, and then there's a couple that moved in that have a 17-month-old, and they're pregnant, you know. So it's like the ebbs and flows.
Yeah, last year here was really busy. Yesterday was not so much here,
Yeah.
but also last year I had the whole house decked out. You know, it was all spooky. But thank you so much, Evil One, for the $2 super chat. Aaron was the only one that wasn't salty last night.
Hey, I wasn't salty. I was just drunk.
Well, a lot of smack talking going on, huh?
I was trying to figure out if Rainey was really ticked at John or not. I kind of think she
No.
was, because
Aaron,
Really?
I
I don't
thought
think
the
so.
same thing, because right at the end of our show where she's like, "That's not cool, John," and I was like, am I gonna have to end the stream? Like in my mind, I'm like, am I gonna have to end this thing early? Because I couldn't tell if because it felt real.
yeah, it did. Well, I mean, my gosh, John drew a picture of her with her head chopped off and 2 candles stuck in her eyes for a birthday cake. I mean, it was brutal.
Oh yeah. Oh, here, like in her defense, if she really was offended, when we talked with her in South Carolina, you know, she's only been in our country for so long, and it's not very long, but she didn't know who Porky Pig was. She didn't know, like, there's tons of pop culture references.
Tons of stuff.
She just doesn't know. So while we're going, oh, it's the creep show, ha, 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 she's going, you cut my head off, stuck candles in my eyes to win this contest.
Happy birthday.
You know? So
yeah, well, she didn't know who I Dream of Jeannie was. I thought that was because it's like I Dream of Reenie. And she didn't even know the reference. But let me get this.
Wow.
Eva one is very generous tonight. Thank you so much. Was passing out candy at my parents, and a 9-year-old kid asked me for my mom's decorative apples on the porch. I had to tell the kid twice they were fake. You don't want those apples. Yeah, you don't want those apples. Hey, I had a guy. You know? We were handing out candy last night, and I had the dog there, and our dog's kind of like yours, Aaron, where he kind of, people come up and he gets really excited. He won't do anything. He just gets really excited. And so I'm holding him pretty tight. But he's kind of like he wants to get at people, but not in a way that he's going to destroy them or tear off their nose.
Like he does you.
Yeah, like he only does that to me.
He's not looking to,
right. And then this guy comes up and he goes, great costume, nice hellhound. And I was like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like it actually pissed me off.
The dog.
It's like he insulted one of my kids. I was like, you son of a bitch.
How dare you?
How dare you? Exactly.
Oh, hey, I wanted to throw out real quick, if you guys, speaking of Halloween, if you're not following Rick Baker, the makeup artist, on Instagram, you should, because he posts some amazing stuff. Because he always makes up his family and stuff for Halloween and just does some really cool stuff. So you should.
My old family knows how lucky they are.
Yeah, quick Rick Baker story. My roommate of mine, Michael Smithson, and he did the makeup for Fat Bastard and the Austin Powers, and he was up for an Academy Award. He's really, really good. He worked with Rick Baker in the day, and he went to one of Rick Baker's parties, his Halloween party. So he has these big bashes, or did. And so he's driving up to his house, and he says, as he's driving up to the house, there's this wrecked car, right? And it's smashed into a tree. Headlights up in the tree and everything. He's like, oh shit. And then there's like a body thrown from the car. And he's like, oh shit. So then he gets in the house, and it's themed beyond belief. He goes in the backyard, and the pool is all like red, and there's like a guy floating, face down in the pool and shit. And he says, it's all this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, man, that sounds like a party I'd want to go to for sure.
Yeah, I know. They would set up, before COVID, they set up this like thing at their house. I remember seeing a video he had posted where the kids in the neighborhood would come up, and I think he did. You remember that episode? I know Graham will, the Twilight Zone, where they were all like these hog-faced doctors, and they had the one pretty girl, and they were gonna, he had him dressed up like that, his daughter in that makeup and stuff, and kids would come up to get candy from these guys. And they were all like, his whole family was dressed as something, with this professional film makeup job that Rick would do for his entire family, and they would hand out candy, and he'd have this whole setup, that was just like this little Halloween town type thing. And I mean, can you imagine being a kid in that neighborhood? You'd be running over. I'd never leave that house. I just keep getting in line again.
Well, let's finish up with teen sensation. What did you do last night?
Yeah, we had a bunch of kids. If you saw, I lit the house up purple. So we had a lot of kids, and they call it the purple house or the haunted house. And we ran out of. Debbie bought 2 big bags of candy, and she set me up to get another one, because then I saw a bunch of kids, and she had to put change in the little pumpkin, whatever.
Oh, you're giving away like money?
I went to Stop and Shop, man, and they were like 3 for $11, I guess, because it's Halloween night. So I bought 5 bags, and we had more kids and all. But man, the great Renzini came and ate all my damn candy this morning.
Oh shit!
Ate all my $1,000 bars and my almond joys, and
I was talking to a neighbor kid that lives across the street, and I was like, This was before trick or treats. I saw him earlier in the day, and I go, "So you're looking forward to it?" He's like, "Yeah." And I said, "So you're gonna get a bunch of candy and stuff?" He goes, "Yeah, but I already have a bunch of candy." I said, "What do you mean?" My parents bought a bunch of candy. I said, "But that's not your candy. They're going to hand it out." And he goes, "Oh, it's my candy." I guess he had been eating it all day, so he claimed it as his own. Yeah, that's great. All right. Okay, so we're all caught up, man. That's great. We all had a good night. I hope everybody listening had a good night last night. Halloween is one of the T-Bear's favorite holidays. And but let's get into the topic. The topic is, where do we see ourselves in 5 years? And if we have time, maybe we'll project even further down the line. But it's kind of like the future bros. Like, where are the bros going to be in 5 years? Like, we all have our own IPs. We all have our own kind of like steering our own ships. We got our own careers going now. We're not working for the man. So we have to have plans. Where are we going to be? Where do we see ourselves in the future? So I thought this would be a great topic. I can't wait to hear everybody's take and where we're going to be. I know Graham already has revealed a little bit with Spin Rack where he's going to be. But let's start, as always, with KOR-DRATH, Andy Smith.
The bald one. Well, I'm going to work towards that goal that I've been trying to achieve ever since I was a teenager, and that's to become employee of the month at McDonald's. I think in 5 years I can achieve that goal.
Well, first you got to get a job. First, you got to get a job at McDonald's. Right.
Well, I figure I'll do that in like 4 years, 11 months, because I don't think it's going to take me more than a month to reach that lofty goal.
Mm-hmm.
I like your confidence.
Young man, you got to walk into the place and just freaking own it. And considering in 5 years on this exact day, I'll be 57. I can walk in. Everybody's there is going to be younger than me, and I can just act like I own the place.
But your birthday, his birthday's in 4 days, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's one good thing about you, Saturday. Andy, is you don't have to go with the hairnet thing. So
no, exactly. In 5 years, man, that's a good question, because I've never been one of those people to like really think about stuff like that. So, I mean, I just hope I'm still able to create my own IPs and work on my stuff. Honestly, I don't know if it would, even what property it would be I'd be working on. I just hope I can continue doing basically what I'm doing now and grow it and grow Astonishing Comics. But I don't have a big, like, I just want to do comics. I don't really, if something came around where somebody came to me and was like, "God, what you're doing is really cool. We'd like to invest to make toys or something," I could see doing that. But
is it something that you're going to pursue though? Like, do you see yourself pursuing, like, going to some toy manufacturers or, different places like that and like pursuing it? Or are you just kind of going to just leave it up and see?
I mean, it really just depends on how well the certain property does. I mean, if a property, in my mind, at least, none of us are in this business to lose money and not make any. So, I mean, if a property is not working, then I wouldn't pursue that. But if one is definitely working, then yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem trying to reach out. I mean, that's, kind of what I did with First Man when I got the little digital sculpt of the bust that I drew of First Man made, So yeah, I could see reaching out and
wait, let's show this off. What is this now?
Well, I showed this last year. This is a smaller one. This one's only about 3 inches tall.
Oh, killer.
But I've got a 7-inch one and a 5, and it's based on my art. So it's like holding, something it's like holding one of my drawings, basically. I sent that to the digital sculptor, and I'm actually getting a bunch of these smaller ones made because they're more cost effective, and I'm going to put them on my website for sale.
The best part about that is you can tell that's an Andy Smith drawing. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you see those sculptures and you're like, I can't recognize that as a J. Scott Campbell, drawing or Jim Lee. But this one you really can. Like, your anatomy is so it's so individualized. It's so you that
Thanks.
it's neat to see that as a statue. That's really cool, man.
Yeah, so I'll probably, I mean, I could see reaching out to somebody if I feel strongly enough about something, kind of like I did with this. And like I said, once I get these in, I'll put them on my website.
Sweet. Well, let me get
So.
this super chat. Sheldon Martin, I see myself celebrating the 5th year anniversary of you asking that
That's right.
question.
In
Excellent.
5 years on the Bros, Art, you need to mark the calendar that your topic is going to be where you want to be at in 5
Yeah,
years.
we'll see if we fulfilled, our destiny. That's
right.
why I thought
That's
this would
right.
be fun too. Like
Reunion
anything
show.
Yeah, we'll see where things go, and if we get there, and hopefully we're all still friends and we haven't just become worse enemies, because sometimes that shit happens, especially in this crazy industry.
Because of shit that goes down on Fragtober. I hear you.
Oh, that's only because they're shitty people.
That's true.
That's right.
We're good people.
That's
Yes.
true.
Right.
Yes, I agree.
We're good people.
We are good. You are good people.
You're good, Soylent Green.
All right. Well, is there anything you want to add, Andy? I feel like there's got to be
No,
more,
I mean,
man.
honestly, I mean, like I said, I'll be 57, as Dan pointed out. My birthday's in 4 days, so 57
my
going on
age.
50, 58. Right, I'll be the age you are now, and I just assume I'll still be plugging along, doing what I do, and hopefully, as with all the campaigns I've done, they'll just keep growing, and we'll just see what happens.
Well, do you see yourself still telling like KOR-DRATH stories and First Man stories, or you thinking of going on with different IP? Or
I mean, that's just it. I couldn't even answer that just because it's 5 years down the road. I just don't know.
I've said this on a live stream. I always think like Andy Smith is the happiest guy in Comicsgate, like, because you're just so content. Like everything is like great.
Everything is awesome.
Oh,
Everything is awesome. Everything is awesome.
okay, all right. Well, let's get the ghost of MATECUMBE Keys creator Graham Nolan in here, and let's see what his hopes for the future are.
Well, I've never been one to put eggs in one basket. I've always felt that you got to diversify and you got to put as many irons in the fire, because sometimes those fires go out and those irons aren't so hot. So, right now my focus is on Compass Comics and launching my IPs. I will do some crossover stuff with my IPs and all, but I'm always thinking of new ones. I want to keep building and building and building.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to just do one IP. I find that boring.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. I can hear it.
Heard it.
I know.
I know. I actually heard it, and I saw the picture of him with his wolf mask on,
Yes.
doing
Dude,
it.
and so he didn't even have to super chat it.
No.
God, that cracked me. I couldn't stop laughing last night, John. You were on fire, my friend. Not just because you won, but you were hilarious. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, Graham.
I don't feel like talking anymore.
Okay.
See,
Team
you've already
Sensation,
lost one
what do you
friend,
got for
just
us?
like that.
Yeah.
Art.
Remember that thing about shitty people?
Wait, it wasn't me. It was John. Oh my gosh. We all hate you, John.
Yeah. I'm going to continue building new IPs and publishing, new and different books. But at the same time, I'm also trying to develop this company, Spin Rack, with Chuck, which is going to be we're calling it Comics 3.0, and it's using technology to bring a different way of reading and seeing comics, and for a community-based interaction with comics. And we're going to be talking about it tomorrow on the Storytellers. Actually, Chuck's going to be on, and our CEO, Melissa McGinnis, is going to be on. And we're going to be kind of like educating our fan bases just what Spin Rack is and how you guys are going to benefit from it. And then the following week on Chuck's channel, we're going to bring all the partners on and why each one is important, what they bring to the table that somebody else doesn't have, because we have some tech people, some gamers, and all these other holes that fill to create a whole umbrella company. So I've got that going on one side, and I've got my publishing on the other. And the other thing about Spin Rack is it's all about Chuck's and my creator-owned properties. So the more stuff I create, the more stuff I can move over and use in other things: films, television, Web3, gamification, all that kind of stuff.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. And that will all be, will that company handle all that stuff? So it's like a production company as well. So if somebody came to you and wanted to option rights, things like that, they would go through Spin Rack?
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And so we have also producers, Hollywood connections as well that are partners on this thing too. So we have connections with Hollywood, with the gaming community, and then of course comics. And then the important part too is the minting of like functional NFTs and keeping them protected. So there's new technology that's being designed by one of our guys that will make sure that is, so when you get something, nobody can copy it or push it off as somebody else's.
Will they be NFTs in the form of like comic books, or will they still be?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
There is. Yep.
So,
yep.
So very like limited, because you can do very limited runs, and then you can guarantee that they're not going to get bootlegged or.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And there's also what we call utility NFTs. So like you collect these NFTs, and then you can actually trade those or add them up, and actually get real world merch with them.
Will it be like real world merch, like spinner rack merch, like you'll have a store and then they can purchase at
they'll be that
or something?
Yeah, and there'll be product merch of our characters as well. Sometimes like the NFTs will guarantee you signings, first in line. It's at conventions for signatures and drawings and stuff like that. It's about really building a community around the properties and all of our love for storytelling. It's going to be much more interactive than the way comics are being done now.
The one piece that I think you're missing, Graham, because someone in the chat, Evil One, says NFTs are a fad. The one point that a lot of people don't know about NFTs is that there's been an evolution. It's not just like, oh, it's a drawing of an ape and da da da. No, what it is, an NFT now can be a certification.
That's right.
It is irrefutable. It's not a piece of paper. It is a certification. It is locked. It is a proof of something irrefutably. So
and it has value. So so the value of it can go up, and you can trade it.
Well, it
and
can
sell
have
it
value,
as.
but yeah, and that's, I think, the problem with NFTs in the past is people looked at them like you were investing in gold. But they're much more functional than that.
It's about the functionality. Exactly.
Right. Exactly. Dan's absolutely correct. Yeah.
Well, let me get this from the Evil One real quick. Thank you so much, Evil One, for the $2 super chat. I see you all wearing toupees in 5 years.
No way.
Now.
Well, I'm wearing one right now. So how you like that?
What is that?
Now maybe hair club for men. That's possible.
Down there, is it called a merkin or something like that?
No, that's for the chest. I think a merkin is like chest hair, right?
I'm the merkin.
Well, Malin says he strikes again, so I guess that's in reference to the
True.
Okay, keep going, man. I'm caught up in the chat here.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, Evil One. Yeah, invest in the stock market. Yeah, that these aren't. The old NFTs were like that. The crypto coins and NFTs were investments, but now, as Dan had pointed out, these are functional use. Almost currency that you can use within the metaverse and stuff to upgrade things and to get stuff for yourself.
And even if it is a fad, we're only talking like the next 5 years. Yeah. And so you can get in on a fad and get in and do well, and then just move on to the next thing. Like you said, you're always looking for, like, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You want to kind of stay you know, where you have
Limbo.
all these different opportunities, that you can create for yourself. So this is just one of many things that
exactly. And if you think it's a fad, ask yourself why the biggest companies in the world, when you look at their hiring practices, who they're looking for, it's people that are building these NFT platforms.
Yeah.
So this is going to be in the future.
Think of it as a
not like
lock and a
what they
key. I try to think of them as a lock and a key. Like a lock can be access to, like you said, an event. A person that has that NFT certification can pass. They can pass that lock. Or not just an event, or it could be discounts. It could be all kinds of things.
Well, I want to read this real quick. This is a question for you, Graham. Can I trade it for food?
You have
virtual
food in your store.
Virtual food. Yeah, you can feed characters. You can buy stuff for your characters when it's a part of a metaverse game. Yeah.
And I guess a merkin is crotch hair, although I don't know why anybody would want that.
Oh my God.
Hey, because
kind of
I
weirdo.
do, Art, because I do. Okay.
That's right.
Oh shit!
Don't
you
shame
just
him.
revealed too much. You just revealed too much about yourself. Let me see. Randy Howell says blockchains will be integral to all digital commerce in the future.
That's it.
That's it right
Randy's dead on there. And that's where you see corporations are hiring people that are developing blockchain technologies and stuff like that. So this is the future, and it's coming whether you like it or not. It's just a question of how fast it's going to come.
Right. No. I mean, more power to you, man. So other than like Spinner Rack and the NFTs and everything that comes with that, where do you see your IPs?
There's a screenplay is being written for Joe Frankenstein now. So there's a possibility that could go off into a film. The Shanu was written as a movie. I mean, I wrote that thing as if I was writing a Netflix film, you know. So I think it's only a matter of time before that becomes a film. And I've had opportunities on Monster Island. I've talked about how the DreamWorks was going to option it. That would be an expensive movie to make, but you know, nowadays.
Well, the good thing about horror films is they almost always do well on returns, and you don't have to have huge stars, and you don't have to necessarily have huge budgets.
And they translate internationally.
Right. And that's why like most good
gets
directors start off with horror. Like, you know, Steven Spielberg started off with horror, even James Cameron. Like a lot of those guys start off with horror films because, you know, it's a good start. Oh, there she is. There's Sally. I didn't recognize her without her red wig.
Right. You want to say hi to the boys? Here. There they are. Say hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey.
It's night time for her, so she's coming to say night.
Can I call you
Good girl,
Sally?
go to bed and don't argue with your mommy.
That's right. But
say,
argue
"Okay,
with
Graham."
daddy. You
Okay.
can argue with your daddy.
I saw your pictures. I saw your pictures when you were dressed like Sally for Halloween last night.
She took it out.
Oh.
Hey, Art was talking about your Sally costume. You want it?
You were adorable last night dressed as Sally.
What do you say? Yeah.
Did your mommy help you with that costume, or did your dad?
It was all mama.
It was all mama.
It was all mama.
It was all mama.
But you got a good mom there
You say goodnight?
and a good
All
dad.
right, I love you. You want? I can't shave this. Andy will get mad at me.
Dude.
Oh my gosh, that's what my daughter used to say. She's like, I don't like the mustache.
It hurts. I'll shave it for you. Okay.
My daughter was like, "That's weird. You need to grow it back."
Tomorrow, do it. Okay. I love you. Okay. Night night. Night night. Okay. Okay. All right. Get out of here.
Wow, what a cutie.
That's awesome.
Where do I get one? I want to sign up.
Yeah.
I used
Just wait,
to have
Dan.
one.
You know a day will come when she says, "I hate you."
I know.
Yeah.
It you know, where will I be in 5 years? You know.
You will be the hated one.
Yeah.
So Graham, you want to wrap it up? Do you got some other stuff going? I know you
No,
waited.
just on the forefront right now is I'm working on. I just started inking another page of Ghosts of MATECUMBE Key, and I'm getting ready to do a launch for my Shanu plushies, which will be coming out probably next year, at the beginning of next year. And then I'm working on my publishing program about what books are coming next in line, because what happens at the end of this is going to determine what book comes next. So I'm
Nice.
but of course I can always rewrite the ending to make it whichever way I want it.
That's true.
That's the beauty of being your own editor.
That's right.
Yeah, indeed.
Because next year on the 2023 is the 25th anniversary of Monster Island. And it's the 25th anniversary of Compass Comics. So
Wow,
I want to do
really?
something special to celebrate that.
Very cool. Lots to look forward to. How about you, Teen Sensation? What do you got, man? I mean, you've already done so much. I think you have a leg up on all of us as far as the
I'm
indie
just doing
market.
what I've always been doing. You know, that's why. But it's so funny because when you said that, I'm like, oh, that's so long from now. And then I'm like, wait a minute, we already have our publishing schedule, all of 2023 and 2024 of when we plan, to launch the new books, when to get them out and all. But I don't know. I think we're going to be seeing a She movie. I have another intellectual property that we're going to drop in late 2023 or early 2024. And I think it's even better than She. So we'll see about that. I'm an optimist, so I'm always, wishful thinking. But I don't know. My son, my youngest son, 5 years, he'll be a senior in college. So we're going to see what he ends up doing. I guess he'll still be here. But, right now I'm already paying $18,000 of property taxes. So I can't imagine what it's going to be like then. And that's why we're not getting too political, but geez, this election is so important in our state. Graham will attest to. Because, I don't want to pay my house off and be paying $20,000 a year just to live there,
Yeah, that would be
and you can't even defend it, when people ask you why you're still there. And I'm like, it's hard to, I don't know. I guess, this is where I grew up. This is where I want to be. But we'll see. We've got, like I said, I got a new property, a new intellectual property that's launching. That's No One's Seen, and that'll be again the end of next year. But here's the weird thing, and I don't know if you guys, I think you might have mentioned that, Andy, is we all have these new ideas, but it's what sells, So like She's doing really well for us. So you're like, oh, I really want to launch this book, but can I afford to launch this book just yet? Until you can be more financially stable to launch that book, and it doesn't have to do as well with She. So we did a leap of faith. In the next 5 days or so, we're going to be launching our next Indiegogo, the pre-launch page. And I was going to do the She Senriaco Omnibus, but I don't know if it's being in Halloween, and we got the ash cans in for Zombie Sama Dorm of the Dead, one of my other intellectual properties, which is kind of a fun zombie post-apocalyptic, zombie story. And we're going to launch that. We're going to launch Dorm of the Dead in November, I think on the 19th, Saturday the 19th. Are any of you guys launching around then? Any books around then?
No.
Nope.
Good. So, it's tough, right? It's a really hard question. I know what I'm doing for the next 2 years, and I think everything beyond that is all just wishful thinking.
Right. I agree.
I'm hoping I can afford to buy my in-laws. They have a small farm out in Pennsylvania that we could buy that, and maybe that's where we go. And then maybe we leave here, get a place in Florida, become like snowbirds, sort of, if you will. And then, also stay in Pennsylvania. So there's a lot up in the air. Debbie could probably tell you better than me. So, and I'll be in 5 years, I'll be 41. So
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, you know, teen sensation. I thought you were going to say, you know, 21.
Oh.
21
liar.
it's also like, you know. Well, the one thing I'll tell you one thing that I won't be in 5 years is I won't have grown up. I'll tell you that.
That's right.
Boy.
Well, that's the thing. Like for me, is like, you know, like I project like 5 years, 10 years, and I'm like, I'll be 81. You know?
In 5 years?
Well, wait. No, not 81, 71. Yeah. Yeah. In 10 years, I'll be 71. Yeah. I jumped.
Oh, you're going to 10 years now? Oh my God. I just want to be alive in 10 years.
Yeah. That's kind of how I
About
feel.
10
Like, I
years.
just want to have the energy to keep this thing going, because I feel like I've gone a whole lifetime to get to this point. You know what I mean? Like, for the industry to actually accept this type of things, be able to support it, and to then create IP. These are things completely out of our heads. These are things that we've created, and to have a market that supports it. This doesn't happen all the time. I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years, and the only other time it happened was Image Comics in the 90s. And trust me, I held on to that as tight as I can, and this as well. So that's another thing, like, we could talk about, later, is where do we think the industry, if the industry is going to support these ideas, and where do we think, things are going to be in 5 years? Where's CG going to be in 5 years? So on and so forth. But is there anything you wanted to add, Billy?
No, I just think that's interesting what you just mentioned. And where will the comics industry be in 5 years? I'm not worried about us at all. Yeah. I mean, we have an incredible fan base. These people have changed our lives. Yeah. Our campaigns are getting stronger. We're getting more efficient with them. Every campaign you do gets easier than the last. And you guys see what you wait and see, Dan. You finish this book, boom. You're gonna see how much quicker the next one's gonna go. So I love this, Graham. We've talked about this. We're boutique publishers. We're small little publishing houses. Doing creator-owned work. Our IPs are our own. We can do whatever we want, and we listen. But we are in touch with the fans. If they don't like our books, they tell us. If they don't like our campaigns, they tell us. If they don't like the way something's packed, right, for or shipped out to them, that there's damages, the buck stops with us. Somebody actually brought me one of their SHAKURA books, and it was damaged. And he brought it to the show. And I'm like, all right, send you out another one.
I have to read this. Art is so old. He's the reason it's called art.
They named it after him.
I've heard a lot of things.
Wall.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of things. I haven't heard that one.
Art did a drawing. His parents were like, that's nice art.
Let's hang it on the cave wall.
That's nice art.
What do you call that, Art?
Let's call it art. Yeah.
But I want to say something that, if I may, I know you have Stippling Vaughn, one of our great supporters, fantastic artist in his own right. Got to hang out with him and his wife Amanda this past weekend, and cool thing is today is her birthday.
Well, happy birthday,
Mrs. Stippling! Happy birthday, honey.
Mrs.
Happy
Stippling.
birthday!
Awesome, fun people. It's great seeing these people that, now I've known, Stippling Vaughn for a while, but isn't it cool when you're at a show and somebody comes up and they're wearing a Compass Comics hat, right?
Yeah.
Or who's got a all caps comic hoodie. Yeah. It's like, whoa, it's
and they always have a grin on their face. Like they're coming up with a secret password.
It's a secret.
Yeah. Going,
bitch, look what I'm wearing.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Yep.
It's a good time to be doing comic books. It's a good time to be in CG. Let me get this super chat. Evil One, you don't have to keep doing this. I appreciate it though. $2 super chat. You done my chastity
sketch. I'm sorry, Evil One. If this is part of the Haikyo campaign, I'm doing those in the next few weeks. In the next 2 weeks, they'll all be done by the end of November. All of my commissions. And thank you for being patient. If that's it, I hope you didn't commission it at a convention. I forgot about it.
He took his money and ran.
But just message me, all right, and I'll take care of it for you. All right, sorry.
Well, he's looking forward to it. So, Billy's
Back to what
sketches
we're-
are
back to
fantastic.
what we're talking about. Who are the happiest people in comics?
Fans.
Us.
Yeah.
You know, you look at all these other folks that are still locked in step with their corporate slave drivers.
Yeah.
They are the most miserable and anxious people in the world because they don't know when they send that last digital file if there's a script coming, or if anything else is coming after that, or if their rates are going to be dropped, or if that book they're working on that's selling 20,000 copies is going to get canceled. You know, what a way to live a life. You know,
I hung out with a bunch of them in Baltimore this weekend, and they are anxious, and they want to know if we could help them, if we could run their Indiegogos or Kickstarters for them. I'm like, no. You have your money.
Wait.
Yeah. No. No. So
for 20%,
and rightly so.
Dude, I wouldn't touch one of those for any amount of money.
Well, Mark Brooks seems happy. No, he doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
He seems absolutely miserable is what he does.
I think even like those top tier guys, those contract guys, they have to be worried too that they got to see the writing on the wall.
They do. And like I said, I was the only one of us there. So, unlike, Graham, like we were in Jersey together, or we were in North Carolina together. We're just hanging out, the hell with everybody else. I got someone to hang out with. This one, I'm hanging out with Vaughn, Coleman, but then, when you start talking to a bunch of other pros and stuff, and they're all very curious. And I want to say hi to them, anyone who's watching tonight.
Yeah.
Well,
they're out there.
Yeah, we'll give you, I don't know your names, but
we all
fun.
Yeah, we all get these kind of cryptic messages like, "How's it going? What are you up to?" Kind of
they're all
missing
cool,
you.
man. They're cool guys. It's just
they're cool guys, but
they
just trying to keep a door open. You know what I mean? Like if something happens, then it's like it doesn't seem completely out of left field when they go, "Hey, how do I get into CG?" That type of thing. Yeah. So Stippling, your buddy Billy, thank you, bros. You made her day.
Happy birthday, Amanda.
Brother. Happy birthday.
Happy
birthday again.
November rocks.
Woohoo.
I thought it
would have been my
Cleveland.
mother's birthday.
Today?
Oh, there you go.
Wait, what's today? Second or
The
first?
The first.
Yeah, today would have been her 88th birthday.
Oh.
Well, happy birthday,
Mom.
wherever you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Aaron, what do you have? What are your projected ambitions?
I see myself in 5 years as a Walmart greeter, and I think that's obtainable.
Andy.
I think
Well,
that's obtainable.
you wear that red Nebraska jacket, and it looks just like a Target.
I know. I'm
Exactly.
prepping. I'm prepping for it. So when people see me, they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense now." This has sort of given us new life. If you'd asked me, CG has. If you had asked me this question, 3 years ago, I would have been saying, I have no clue what I'm going to be doing, 2 months from now, let alone 5 years, right? You hope you're still in the industry. I remember telling, I think it was Bart Sears, when we were working at CrossGen, we were at San Diego, and I remember telling him, I was like, dude, I got to be out of comics by the time I'm 40, or mainstream comics by the time I'm 40. And of course, that didn't happen.
You said that?
Yeah. I might have said, if I'm not out of comics by the time I'm 40, shoot me, kind of thing. But it is funny how you kind of settle in and you're like, you got bills to pay, kids going to college, whatever. And so you just stay in the grind, right? And you never get out of it. And, but now that I've got some stuff going here, I've got, big plans of a lot of stuff. The funny thing is it changed from, just a couple of years ago, us every couple of months you're going, calling up somebody to find out what your next project's going to be. And hopefully somebody's got something. And now it's like, I've got so many ideas and so many plans. It's like, how am I going to fit all these in? It's like, it's a totally different perspective now.
Yes.
I got to start working on Wraith of God board game. So, and, things like that pop into your head and you're like, oh, that'd be so cool. Oh, that'd be so cool. And then you're like, hey, when am I going to have time to do it? So you have to sort of organize, kind of like, Billy was saying, you organize your IPs and you're kind of like, okay, if I do this to here, then I can launch this over here. And, and we're still just one-man operations at this point. And I would like to think in 5 years from now that I would be expansive enough that maybe I could, take a title and say, hire someone to draw the title so that I'm doing a couple of books instead of just one, which is kind of, when you're doing everything yourself, obviously all you guys know this, that it's a slow process to get, if you got a lot of different IPs and ideas you want to get out there, it's a slow process to get them all out there. Right. And it's like Billy said, boy, do I want to put out this new IP when I know people want and it's good for this many sales. Do I really want to take a chance on something that is untested and skip, a cycle, if you will, to place this in there when it may or may not be anywhere near as successful as doing would. And I'm sort of facing that right now with Wraith of God, right? I'm kind of establishing Wraith of God as kind of my tentpole character and IP. But I got some other stuff that I want to do. And right now I figured the best way to do those is as backup stories, which I'm doing in the campaign.
That's why I think this is interesting, because you're kind of combining things as you're moving along. So you're kind of, the success of one is helping you, bring these other IPs into right, which was always sort of the plan. It's like, even if those of you who've read Wraith of God, the graphic novel, there's a epilogue at the end of that story that sort of opens the door to a bunch of different possibilities. And so it gives you the opportunity to get people that bought a singular book because they like that character. I missed that. What was it? Wraith of God, the fragrance collection.
Old West, rattlesnake,
rattlesnake and desperation.
Yeah, exactly.
The old
quick draw.
Foot.
Oh man. But no, that was kind of the idea. So now you get people, and if you're able to tie the stuff in, like Graham is doing, obviously with Ghosts of MATECUMBE Key with these other properties. Now suddenly all this becomes one big thing, and now you're able to create interest in another IP without rolling the dice, 100% on that IP and seeing if it works or not. You kind of get people interested in it. So then when you actually do launch it, there's some familiarity there, and they're like, oh yeah, I've been waiting for that kind of thing. And so, I mean, that's kind of the way I'm sort of approaching it and trying to expand. And I had a great conversation with Mark Schultz years ago, and he's still working on his last big installment of Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, or Xenozoic Tales, right? And his thing to me was, he said, I got to get this done before I'm 70, because when you hit 70, that's when you start to lose it. Your ability starts to wane. It's kind of like most of us, I mean, Dan and Andy, younger, and Billy, of course, is eternally youthful. But Graham, me, and Art are kind of looking at like, okay, how much can we get done before we hit 70, just in case I can't do, I'm not as good in 70 as I was at 58 or whatever. So there is a sense of urgency there, but I have a sense of optimism that I haven't had in a long time, and also kind of feeling like this is something I'm in control of. It's not something that DC or Marvel is going to call and tell me what I'm doing or I'm not doing. This is in my hands to put it into the chat's hands, into our readership's hands, but I have control over how good it is, and then it's up to them to either accept it or reject it. But at least I don't have someone else manipulating the story or manipulating the book that I'm on, and or just telling me whether or not I'm in the industry anymore or not,
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're creating our own industry. We don't know how long anything is going to last, right? But I think we're moving forward, one book at a time, if you will, with optimism, which is something that I don't think that I've really had. I was always worried, every 3 months for the last, 30 years. Right. I was worried what I was going to do next. And you try not to think about it, but when you finish up that miniseries, man, that's You know, you got 30 pages or 20 pages to go on that last issue. You're like, I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing in January, you know, and so you start working on that and trying to figure that out. And at least now when we launch these
on those last 10 pages, because now you're thinking about, you got to start making phone calls so that when those 10 pages are done, you got something lined up.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And now at least we can spread that out a little bit. I mean, there's still uncertainty because you never know when you launch a campaign how it's going to do, right?
That's right.
But if you're doing 1 or 2 projects a year, that kind of stretches out that little window of being concerned or worried to just like, once a year or one small period of time during the course of the year. And we get to work the rest of that year on doing YouTube stuff like this, promotion, and working on the project and getting it out there. So it has changed my perspective on the future quite a bit. I mean, I'm like everybody else. I have no idea what's going to happen 6 months from now, let alone, 5 years from now. But I do have a plan in place, and I'm just hoping that my biggest concern right now is, can I get all the stuff done I want to get done in that period of time, And but it's optimism, I think, is the thing.
Steranko's in his 80s.
Yeah.
So Stan was in his 90s. Hal Foster worked until in his 90s.
Mhm.
If you love what you do and you take care of yourself, you can extend your career as long as you. There's an old cartoonist saying: cartoonists die on the board or they die on a broad.
Well, so what you're saying is,
So
I shouldn't eat those 3 bags of leftover Halloween candy sitting right over there.
Yes.
Give them. I'm probably going to do it anyway, Graham. That's the problem. Not all in one day, though.
Yeah, for me, Aaron, a lot of things that you're talking about is so true. And for me, it's a matter of trying to kind of readjust my way of thinking, because I never really allowed myself to think the way I need to start thinking. You know what I mean? Like what am I going to create next? What am I going to market next? You know what I mean? Because it's just never been there. It's always just, hustle for your next job, and you didn't really even have a lot of control of what that was. It was just kind of like whatever they wanted to give to you is what you took. But now it's really different because we're creating these things, these opportunities just out of nothing. We're just like, well, let's see what Wraith of God will do. Let's see what Wraith of God 2. Let's see what she, whatever it is. Let's see what these things will do, and we throw those out there. And for me, it's just been a matter of like, I haven't allowed myself to dream or to think this way in decades. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just that getting over that obstacle of like, oh, now I can unleash that, because you guys all know like the disappointment of this industry. Like you build these walls and you kind of set your expectations very, very low, because you never know, because you don't have control over it. I remember when I was younger, they'd go, oh, you're going to get this job. And then you go, oh yeah, this is going to be great. You start doing sketches, your sketchbook and all this other stuff. And then they call you like, 2 weeks down the line, go, no, we're not going to do that series. You know what I mean? So then your enthusiasm goes down the tube. And then this happens enough times, or your book gets canceled, whatever. Then you kind of build these walls, and then you just go, well, I'm just going to take it day by day, see how things go. You know what I mean? But because you can't really dream, you can't really project into the future of what you want, because you have no control over it. So this is a really unique situation that we're in now, is because we kind of do, as long as the good people that are listening to us right now, and as long as we can keep attracting new people, then we can start thinking this way. And for me, it's just a matter of trying to really change my way of thinking, that I can do this realistically, in an unguarded way. You know what I mean? Like I can take down that guard and I can start going, well, what about this? What about that? Maybe it's time to pursue those things that I put on the back burner, because, it would have been disappointing, or it wouldn't have happened, or whatever it is. And now it's just not the case. So, Aaron, was there anything that you wanted to add? Or
well, just to add to what you just said there. The opportunity here is different than, say, it was 20 years ago, where crowdfunding wasn't a possibility. It wasn't a thing, right? So for you and I, or any of us, to do our own book, I mean, Billy did a pretty good job of it, but there was a period of time there where you're like, well, yeah, if I could launch my own book, but it's going to sell 2,000 copies and I'm going to lose my shirt. And that's the end of that. Right. So now we have an opportunity, the way this is set up with eliminating the middleman, that we can make a living on low numbers and still do what we want to do, which, I mean, comparatively low numbers to what, the mainstream would need to survive.
Copies versus 30,000.
Right. Exactly. And it's just amazing that you can sit there and say, I can make more money selling 3,500 copies of Wraith of God than I could if I did Wraith of God for DC Comics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it sold 60,000 copies.
And each of us are different. Each of us, our survival, like the money, our bottom line is all different. So for some could be 20,000. For some, it has to be 100,000. You know what I mean? That's their bottom line. Yeah. So it's whatever the beast needs to be fed, so it's a sliding scale for each one of us.
Right. So that creates greater opportunity for everybody. Your particular needs, they're like you said, they're not all the same. So there is a lot of opportunity out there. I don't think we've seen this kind of opportunity since the black and white boom of the late 80s, where, that was just the hot thing for a couple of years, thanks to the Ninja Turtles mostly. But it did start the wave with the Tick and, radioactive black belt hamsters or whatever the heck they were. Even Art couldn't remember that during our trivia contest.
And the Fish Police.
The Fish Police.
Boris the Bear.
Boris the Bear, Lone Wolf and Cub, which was, I guess, an import. But still, I mean, there was a lot of books that were just like, and people were waiting for the next black and white indie book to come out, And
we should bring back that black and white revival so we could save money on coloring.
Dude, seriously, I'm gonna do a black and white like Savage Tales magazine. I'm gonna do it.
Oh shit!
So, wouldn't that be fun?
Well, I got a lot of people that are clamoring. They're seeing the black and white work, and they're going, "You have to do a black and white in black and white."
That's right.
So eventually, I think I'll do a second chance campaign, and I'll do something like that. Because also, I mean, you get to a point where you're kind of proud of the line work, and you just want to see it, without the coloring. Nothing against the colorists. We all work with great colorists, but it's cool. It's cool to see Graham's stuff with the tones. Like he brings gray tones to some of his work and things like that, and it's cool to see in a black and white form that you can't appreciate it in the same way in color. All right, well, Dan Frega Boom,
yes.
What you got? Give us 5 years.
I will be fulfilling Black Flag number 1.
All right,
finally.
Happy 57th birthday to me.
People got a deadline now. You heard it, everybody.
Really, though, it's funny because it's the culmination of a lot of what you guys are saying. I think a lot about my health. I'm the youngest, but I'm going to be 50 next year. And I think about my goals. I set goals. I don't have dreams. I have goals. That's what I say. And love or hate Kanye West, he has a distinct belief in himself. And if I set a goal and say I want to be a household name, and I want comics to be flourishing and not just the mainstream comics, I want to expand our demographic to where kids are excited about comics again. I want to create content that is all over the place, not just with comics, but YouTube shows. When I say household name, you look at a Bob Ross, or you look at Stan Lee, Marvel, those sort of things, and they're known for basically their generosity. Is crazy and showman that Stan was. He was still very generous with himself and with the fans, and everybody felt warm and loved, and there was a commonality to it. So my main focus outside of parenting these crazy kids. Are you going to bed, baby?
No, I know.
Okay.
I don't want to.
Is my health. I had health scares over the last 2 years, and you realize your mortality. I hear you guys talking about it, and our Thibert and I have a mutual friend in Brian Murray, and Brian's 13 years older than I am, and he used to just give me advice all the time, and I used to go, yeah, kind of like, okay, whatever, because you don't know what you don't know. And then I had this friend named Ray, who's 7 years younger than me, and I found myself giving Ray advice, and then I got this sort of yeah back from him, and that's when it clicked for me that I should be listening to Brian. And a lot of the gems he dropped I've used in my professional life.
So you're calling Brian up and saying, "Hey, Brian, remember in like 10 years ago, what was that conversation we had?"
No.
Could you give me that advice again?
I take note of everything that he had said, but listening to you guys, it's like looking into the crystal ball. If I want to see 5 years for myself in different ways, I look to you.
Was that a ball joke?
No.
Let me take this real quick. I got a super sticker. Thank you so much, Big Raj. And oh my gosh, Evil One, thank you so much for your generosity for the $5 super chat. Dealing with pain every day and temporary loss of ability to draw and work because of a back and shoulder injury. You guys give me hope every day. Well, real quick, I'm going to have to go under the knife. I have like ruptured discs and I got arthritic spurs. So at some point, I got to start looking into my health a little bit more. And it does limit it. It limits the time I can spend in front of the board because of the city.
You don't have that. So, you don't have that scheduled yet? I thought you had that scheduled.
I went into the doctor. Insurance it's freaking nuts these days. So the doctor couldn't see me. He was off on a surgery. So it's still kind of partially in scheduling. Part of it, it's been diagnosed. I've had the MRIs and stuff, but it's just a matter of setting it up. And then there's stages too. Like I got to get a steroid shot. That's actually a surgical procedure. I just thought they gave it to you, but they have to knock you out to get that. So I have to do that first. And that's going to bide me time to schedule with the doctor, and it's insurance. It's nuts.
How long do you think you'd be out of commission, bro?
They said it's a couple weeks. I after the surgery, I thought, like, I talked to some people and they're going, yeah, I had the same surgery, and it was an outpatient, and I go, that's not what my doctor said.
So wait, are you saying a couple weeks of like bed rest after it, or?
Yeah.
So you're going to be on your back when you do bros?
Yeah, I'll set the camera up on the ceiling, and it'll be all sexy.
No, as crazy as it sounds, when my good friend Mike Turner, when he was in the hospital with cancer, he had a drawing board, and he would tape, and he was drawing covers while on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that guy didn't stop.
Well, I'll tell you, it's not in my nature to stop. I had some major health scares when I was younger, when I was in bands and I played the drums, and I had a leg cast up to my hip. I taught myself how to drum left-footed, so I wouldn't miss a gig. I had spinal surgery. I had 2 rods put in, and that's when I learned to draw. That's when I really started taking drawing seriously, because I couldn't do anything else.
Who put the rods in you?
Who put the rods in me? I want to know. I want names, and I want numbers. But it's just not in my nature to stop, and I think we all have that kind of drive. So it's not going to stop for me. But I do understand your health. You got to take care of it, and you're still a young man. You shouldn't have these concerns, man.
No, I do have these concerns, and it's foresight. Everybody thinks they're going to live forever. It's like my mom. She died from smoking. Her mom died from smoking, and her mom's mom died from smoking. And for some reason, people think it's not me, or I'll quit tomorrow, and then it ends up being too late, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, my concern is building a better version of myself. I'm not drinking the month of November. Probably I'm going to try to do what I can to take it to the January 1st, see what it does. I got myself a gym membership. Been thinking about this a lot. It's kind of a synchronistic thing that it's your topic, right? As far as business plans, I have a rollout. You know, the Incredible Comics universe is very connected, very much in the spirit of what Graham and Aaron were talking about, as far as everything, you know, whether it's Black Flag or Gear Station, these sort of things, they are connected. The other thing too that I think about a lot is I can't draw everything. I'm not fast enough, but I also look for new talent. You know, I found a really fantastic guy named Art Jedi. He's only 17. He did Rascal for me. He's going to be.
I've seen that guy's artwork.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
He's going to be doing the Rascal miniseries for me. I met a kid in Nashville, 14 years old. His name is Callum. I told him, I said, dude, do not stop. Here's my email. Keep sending me stuff. I'm going to do everything I can to keep you going, because he's got it. Like, the kid has it. So I'm looking at the future there. So I can have more than just one book and one cycle, that sort of thing. Looking at music, there is a Black Flag board game in the works already. Think of it kind of like Warhammer 4000 or whatever it's called, 40,000. 40K, is that it? With the big mechs?
I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. There, exactly. Blackjack knows what's up. But and it's also asking for help. We're all one-man operations, but you know, a lot of the stuff that I read, yeah, there you go. I'm grooming the next Todd McFarlane, the next you know, next major star. But the just thinking about the idea of, you guys ever read the Andrew Carnegie's How to Influence People
A
books?
long time ago.
How to make friends and influence people.
Yeah, well, what he talks about is this idea of a mastermind, right? And I think Henry Ford was on trial for something. Frege Groom, that's great.
That's funny.
The guy said, "Hey, well, can you answer this question?" He says, "Yes, I can. Give me a phone." And you know what I mean? It's like when you have a team and there's things that you may think aren't possible. Well, if you surround yourself with people that do those things, it's like if I'm going to make a video game, I'm going to hire 6 AM Comics to create my sprites for that game. You know, I'm going to hire Andre Kromoff to code it for me. I'm going to hire a PR firm so that we're not just talking in an echo chamber. I'm going to hire a PR firm so we can get on like Good Morning America and not just have a talk about, and no knock on our good friend Gabe Altier, but like, I don't want to talk about negative stuff. I want to talk about positive stuff. Let's get on news channels and talk about the positivity and the great things about the stuff we're doing. This is a new generation of heroes, you know, and the torch will be passed, guys. No, we talk about characters we love, Doc Savage, the Phantom, but there's a whole generation of kids that have no idea who that is. And eventually the Batmans and Spider-Mans and the X-Men, they're going to be antiquated and they're going to be your dad's heroes, and they're going to look to us for the cool new thing. So we should be there to create that. So the answer, quick and short of it, is I'm trying to figure out a way to extend my energy and life and quality of life, so that I'll be better able to execute these things and be a bit sharper and create that mastermind system, because 2 are better than 1 and so forth.
Well, I like that you combined like your health and your situation, your living situation and things into the equation. That's always pretty hard, because like for me, that's the last thing I think of. You know, it becomes tunnel vision. Like we've all done this long enough, and we know how much effort it takes to do a comic book, and so how much focus that takes. And I think we've all done that, where you know your kid's at the door of the studio and you promise them something, and then you had to go, well, I got this deadline, you know, and it breaks your heart. But those are the limitations. But usually, at least for me, I never factored those into my day-to-day.
This is what I recommend 100%. when I was working for Mattel, I nicknamed my creativity the milkshake, and it was from There Will Be Blood. When he says, "I take your milk, I take my straw and I put it in your milkshake." I felt like I was giving Mattel all of my milkshake, and I'd be driving. I had 5 hours a day of driving, 8 hours at Mattel, 2.5 to 2.5 from. So I felt like I was giving this company these great ideas, and the thank you I got was a paycheck every week, but that was it. I wrote jingles, I create characters, I created campaigns, I helped sculpt basically what became the things they sold. That's right. But I ran into this book called The War of Art. Sounds like The Art of War, but it's The War of Art by Art Thibert. Now, it's by a guy named Stephen Pressfield. He wrote Legend of Bagger Vance. And what he talks about, and it was like he was speaking to my soul. And chat, I recommend it to everybody, too, that has even a creative molecule. And what it is we have these dreams, and then we do inventory of all the things we need that we don't have to make that dream happen. Oh, if I only had this much money, or if I had this much time, and this sort of thing. Well, he says, throw that all out. You need to do inventory of the time you do have, right? Mm-hmm. And he used examples like Stephanie Meyer. She wrote Twilight. Love it or hate it, it was very successful. Stay-at-home mom of 3, like my wife. It's like as if my wife, in between folding clothes and doing mom stuff, wrote a best-selling cultural phenomenon. You know what I mean? That's what happened there. Charles Swindoll, a pastor of the EV Free churches, 9 churches, writes 5 books a year. And the way he does it is he writes a page a day in the morning, 1 page. He has a cup of coffee. He writes 1 page. He goes and does his work, goes to bed, wakes up next day, does a page, type page. And he has 5 books at the end of the year. So what I said was like, during this, using the thing as an example, at Mattel, I said, hey, what do I have? And I said, I have about 4 hours. If I wake up a half hour early and go to bed a half hour later and stick to my guns, I have 4 hours. What can I do in 4 hours? I can write, pencil, ink, and post 1 panel a day. And I made a graphic novel over the year doing that. And with a full-time job, a 13-hour day, newborn, I did a graphic novel in a year, and I wasn't getting paid for it, but I was like, this is actually the secret. It's doing inventory of what you have. So I highly recommend that to anybody.
That's what I used to do, like at Hack Shack, like multiple books, balancing schedules and stuff like that becomes daunting, right? Yeah. So then instead of being overwhelmed every day, I figured it out. Okay, what do I have to do every day? So then I could break it down to a day instead of like looking at everything like just blindly. So then I would work it out. It's like, well, if I have a month to do 1 book, well, that's a page a day. Well, if I have 2 books, and that's 2 pages a day. If I do 3 books a month, then it's 3 pages a day, and so on and so forth. So then it's still a lot of work, but it's not like you're looking at all of it at one time. You know what I mean? Like you're looking at a manageable piece that you can take care of, and then you can move on from there. So
if you have, let's say you have a year to build a log cabin, but you don't get logs, you get toothpicks. But what if there's enough toothpicks to make that log cabin, but you can't scoff at those the small bits. You need to take them and apply them in a consistent way.
Oops.
I was like, where'd he go?
Somebody pissed off Graham again.
No, it's this. Oh no, I guess that's not. That's not
a disappearing act.
But that's I mean, that's it. In 5 years, household name, healthy, and you're gonna say, "Wow, I didn't realize he could do music like that. I didn't know he can make content like that." The other thing too. This is another thing I advise, and why I've had success in Hollywood is if you go into the room as a time traveler, right? If you say in 5 years you close your eyes and you go, people are going to say, I remember when I met that guy, I knew there was something special about him, right? You be that guy. You walk into the room and you be that guy 5 years in the past. That's
good
it.
advice.
Heavy,
Good,
man.
good stuff. Yeah. Well, for me, I mean, it's all that everybody has already said. Potty break, yes. I need to take one. But it's all the above, right? And it's just like things that I'm doing now are not things that I've had experience doing, wearing this many hats, doing this many things. And one, it's exhilarating. Every day is like a new learning experience for me. But at the same time, the worst part for me is just looking at the end of the day and just going, man, I had so much more planned for the day, you know, and you go to bed every night disappointed in yourself, like, oh shit, you know, I had XYZ planned and I only did, you know, 2/3 of it. And the problem with that is just that we haven't done this yet. So we're still like, as much as I want to project into the future, I'm still trying to figure out what it is now, like how much I can do, how much I can get done, and so on and so forth. And like we all know, it's a one-man show. There's very little support. I mean, some of us have like colorists and letterers that we work with and things like that. But it's still pretty much, you know, story, penciling, inking is us. And so it becomes a little bit more challenging and trying to figure out how to get the best work out of yourself at the quickest pace. You know what I mean?
Right.
And for me, not having,
let's not forget the marketing and the streaming at night. So you've already you know, done your email blasts and all that stuff in the morning. Maybe by just before lunch you can start drawing. And
Right,
then
that's
by
exactly
dinner
right.
time you're streaming and you're on, and then you're up late, and then rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's why
Yeah.
health is essential. You know,
Yeah.
like I was thinking about it, like I had a blast last night and I feel like Fragtober and Post Kings was great, but I was ground shit this morning, you know? I was beat up, and I was like, if I wanted to be that, you know, that entertaining every day, I'd be dead, you know?
Those
well,
late
I find it like doing live stream and stuff the most exhausting thing I do every day, because this is way outside of my wheelhouse. And as much as like when you're drawing and working, you can kind of recess into your own world. This is like being on, you know, for 2 hours, you know, and for most of us, this is just way out of our wheelhouse. I think we've all got to a certain point where we look forward to it, that we enjoy it, and that we're getting better at it, but it still is, you know, time consuming. And I've learned to love it. When I first started, I was like, oh my gosh, this is, you know, I was all camera shy and everything. And now I'm just like, you know, okay. But for me, like, I think I'm at the point now where I know I have to dream bigger. I have to start thinking about multitasking. I have to start thinking about other projects. And as much as I like to just be fully engaged in what I'm doing at the moment, you know what I mean? Like, I just like, my whole world is this project, is this page, is this whatever that I'm working on. But I got to start pulling myself away from it and start thinking about other things. And so what I would like to do, you know, and I've talked about stuff like this before, but I have to figure out how to realistically do it. Now that I'm starting to realistically figure out the limitations of what I can do every day, is to start thinking about, how do I still make those other things I want to do a reality? Right. So I got another black and white story that it's all in my head. I mean, it's there, beginning, middle, and end. Right. But then how do I manifest it? I have the next Chrono Mechanics story. It's all in my head. You know, I even have a title. It's the 8th wonder of the world. You know, that's what it's going to be called. And it's going to be a doozy.
What you got to do, Art, is seriously, like when I say the mastermind thing, if you had somebody that was with you that you trust, you basically talk about those ideas and they take notes. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I said 2 is better than 1. And even if that person isn't working creatively, you're able to, I can draw and you know, give out that sort of information, especially when I'm in ink mode. Creation mode's a little harder, but you know, get somebody to be there for you, you know?
Right. And the more you're able to, like, verbalizing is becoming reality. It's one step to make it real, but then writing it down, if you had, like you said, you had somebody to start writing it down, at least you have those notes and you have the game plan. I just have to get better at it. And trust me, I've done this. I've managed a studio. I mean, Jaime Mendoza came out of that studio. Danny Mickey came out of that studio.
Larry.
You know, Larry Stucker. You know, just John Sabal was you know, under my tutelage. Just so many people. Tim Townsend got him his first work. You know, just a bunch of people. Trevor Scott. God, I could go on. And so I know how to manage people and I know how to run a studio, but this is a little different because, like, the studio things just kind of happen and it's all physical and you see it. But this is a little different because it is just one person.
Yeah,
so
get a Watson, Sherlock.
Right. So what I am realizing, and actually Pedro Eng is in the chat, and he's kind of becoming one of those guys. And so we're talking about, you know, because he and I did, along with Von Klaus, we did the black and white, you know, High Octane Adventures, which is the animated book. And so we had a good working relationship. And so we may be doing the next Chrono together, you know. So there is talk about, you know, starting to work with other people, but also I don't want to let anything go, you know, because
what I'm saying though is, like, for example, my brother David, he moved here and he's basically taking on all of these extra things, like talking to the printer and all these things, because he doesn't want to draw, right? He doesn't want to write, but he does want to make this thing more successful. So he's like, dude, I can make the deals on these things. You just tell me what you need. And, you know, when you have ideas, I'll help put your notes together. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like taking the facets that you need to offload. You know what I'm saying? Like a delegation. And
I completely know.
I want to draw all of my ideas, right? I have they're my ideas. I want to draw them, and I know I do it the best. At least I think I would. But no one wants to give that up. But, you know, at a certain point, there needs, you know, like I said, Sherlock had Watson, you know, and even in the big guys, Walt Disney had Roy Disney, you know, Steve Jobs had Wozniak. You know,
well, I have Pamela. Pamela has always managed Hack Shack Studios, and she is that administrative person. You know, she takes care of all those things. So, you know, thankfully, I mean, she's really good at it, and she's got a lot of experience doing it. And also, she is my creative partner. So if I have creative ideas, I run them by her. She's great at character, and she's great at writing dialogue. So she's always in the mix. I think for me too is a matter of getting to a place where you have capital, because capital can get you. Yes, you can hire people and you can start. You can start doing things like that. And I remember, you know, was Adam Carolla said, when you know, it's great to have money because you can just throw money at the problem, and that does become like a great liberator. You know, as far as money hose and making those things work. Yeah, because you could go, well, I can try this guy or I can try that guy as an experiment. And if it doesn't work out, then you just go, okay, well, I'll just throw money at this, you know, in this other direction at this other person. So I think for me, since I'm not that young guy anymore, like when I was younger, I would just do things, right? I would just, oh shit, yeah, I'll do all these things. And somehow I would make them work because I had more energy, and I didn't have that. When you get a certain age, you have that idea that, like, you know what the price that you have to pay to make something happen, right? When you're young, you don't know. You just do it,
Yeah.
right? But when you get older, you go, well, if I'm going to pencil and ink a book, it's going to take X amount of time. You know what I mean? Or so on and so forth. And so there is part of it for me where there's a hesitant nature because one, I'm not sure. I'm still kind of shy. Like, is this going to work? You know what I mean? Like, there's still part of me that thinks like, well, maybe this part of the industry will fold up, you know? So I still have that. And then there's the part where you're just kind of like, well, I know how much energy and time it's going to take. So I'm not sure if I want to go down that route because I'm not sure I have, you know, a year to spend on a venture that might not pay off. Right. Because it's kind of like I heard George Lucas say, and oh my gosh, it opened my eyes. And it was like a decade ago or so. And it was when he was doing the prequels. And he goes, I realized that I only have so much time to do things. So the things that I do are going to be things that mean something to me. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have all that time to just spin his wheels and do, you know, Willow and all this other, you know, Howard the Duck and all this other crazy stuff. You know, he's got to focus on things that really matter. So that's what I'm trying to do as well. So I have all these IPs, I have all these ideas, but for me, what I'm going to do is I'm focusing until I can't pencil and draw and write or these things anymore is black and white and chronomechanics. Because when I took inventory and I started thinking like, what is it if you took away from me that would bug me, you know, the most? Like, what if I couldn't do something, you know, what would that be? And it would be those two IPs, you know, as far as professional. And so that's the things that I'm going to spend the most time with. But what I also want to do is, I know you guys know the frustration where you have all these ideas. Sometimes you can jot them down. Sometimes you can manifest them on certain levels, but you know how much time it's going to take. So you kind of, they become back burner ideas. You know, they become things that I'll do this when I get time. And that becomes very, very daunting because they never go away. Those things bug you. You know, those things are like, they're always there. And it's like,
that's why you got to plan. You got to plan.
Yeah.
You can't just dream like Dan said and think. You have to plan, you know. So, okay, here is my publishing plan. Here are the books that are going to be coming out. And here are my projected dates. They're not written in stone of when they're going to happen. But this is the order they're going to happen in. And then that way, you know, just like deciding how many pages you're going to do a day, it's the same thing, you know. Okay, I got this project is done. Now here's the next one up, you know, teed up and ready to go.
You know, but Graham, you're also smart. The way you're approaching it is that you're launching a new property every time, you know, and you're basing it on your personality. And thank you to everyone watching out here and all the fans of CG that they will support us to go with another property. So it could be the time, Grant. I mean, Art, you were saying like, oh, I know chronomechanics and black and white work, but I had this other idea, or as Aaron was saying, but this might be the time to take those chances because they seem to be following us and seem to be supporting us no matter what they do, because we're almost like a big family now in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not in a way. We are a family.
Yeah, but also with the fans, you know, like we were hanging out with them all weekend, you know, right?
Yeah,
Graham and I have done that. We've had our cigar parties with them. And it's awesome how we all support each other. And so this might be the time, again, you were saying, Art, you're getting older, but this might be the time to take that chance.
Well, yeah, I'm more than willing, you know, but there is that side that knows how much you have to do to get there. Let me read this real quick. Evil One, let's get these campaign links in the chat. Just know that all the links to all of our campaigns, we have some active campaigns, we have some in demand. They're all in the description. So if you guys want to go visit, you want to back any of these projects, just click those links. If there's nobody, I'm not sure if Past Master has a wrench, but if anybody in the chat has a wrench, yeah, you can start throwing up some of the campaigns. I'm sure everybody would appreciate that. But yeah, that is the key. The key is the discipline. The key is to making a realistic goal and plan these things out. So, you know, these are things that, you know, I used to do. You know, obviously, you know, you can't have a career like this and just kind of fly by the seat of your pants. But to get that kind of, focus. So for me, moving forward, it's trying to come up with realistic goals, what I can and what I can't do based on still testing to see what those parameters are, because that's the state I'm in. Some of you guys have a little bit more penciling skills and have done monthly, met monthly schedules like that. I really haven't. So, and then writing is new, because also there's one thing that we can do that I absolutely love that we never could do before, is where you could plus an idea while you're creating it. You know what I mean? Like when we're drawing these things, I do this all the time. I'm drawing it, and I might even be halfway through a panel, and I go, oh my gosh, what if I did this?
Yeah.
It would change everything. And so then I look at the time, I look at the part of the day that I'm at, and I go, okay, if I invest 2 more hours to put into this day, then I can manifest this idea, right? So it's always kind of a trade-off, so you can go, well, if I put more time in, then I can get this result out of it.
Well, that's the organic nature of being a sole creator, is that you start with an idea, you start to flesh it out, but then again, as it's coming alive for you, you can easily make changes. I wrote out my script and my dialogue on the page I'm working on. I'm already crossing out stuff and writing new stuff in.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it is that process. It's like, okay, sometimes I'll put stuff down just to have something down to give me a framework on which to work from. And then as I actually have my mind centered on it and I'm working on it, I can put all the other stuff out to the side, focus on that, and think of a better way to present it or to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are like me, but I also have seen enough Disney documentaries for this too. It's like sometimes the idea just has to manifest itself, even if it's a bad idea. You know what I mean? Like sometimes there has to be so much effort involved in an idea that doesn't go anywhere. But sometimes that idea will lead to the better idea. And then so on and so forth. So that's one good thing about like where we're at now. It's kind of a double-edged sword because it takes a little longer, but it's way more fulfilling because you can edit as you go along. Like Aaron on your Wraith of God, I remember you saying like you had an intro, like scene, and then you're like, I think we need an action scene, so you kind of restructured the story on the fly to, give more pizzazz at the beginning of the story. And if we were at Marvel or DC, once you get that story okay, then that's in stone. And then,
you're not sending in different pages that have I got this great idea. What do you guys think of this? No, you're not doing that. And how many times have we all gotten scripts where we're like, ugh. And you just draw it, and you're like, "Man, this would have been so much better if we do this, this, and this." But that you
can't do
have
it.
the privilege of doing that.
I remember my first job on Rip Hunter Time Masters, and I was always with Bob Greenberger, and I was like, "Bob, what about this? What about this?" And then I would even commit some of these ideas to my sketchbook, and then I would, like Xerox them and send them. And he's like, "Art, the script is okayed. Just draw what's there."
Rip, you son of a.
Because he had to keep saying no.
Richie Dupe has a great point in the chat. He said, "Art's making up for all the people he ran through with his sword in his musketeering days."
That's true. All for one and one for all, except for that guy.
But anytime I see an Art age joke, I got to jump on it because it's just
yeah. But like there's Chrono, you guys. So look forward to this. I just have to figure out how to manifest it. And like I said, some of it's money. Trying to get enough capital, to invest into your next project, which is definitely like for most of us, I think that's what we're doing. We're taking the minimum that we can to survive, and then we're using that money to invest into the next project. And so then, I'm still working on, the next oodles of doodles. So these things kind of like at the end of the day, if I have time, then I put it into that. But most of my time is just in the things that are in front of me. And so what I would like to do in time is to put out black and white more on a regular schedule. One of the things moving forward that I'm going to do as well is do one and dones. So I have to figure out how to kind of, like, most of my stories are structured where there's like 3 acts, you know, like there's beginning, middle, and end. So I'm still kind of old school enough that I think about those as 22-page stories, right? So that's 66 pages for the adventure. So now I have to start thinking about, well, how do I take that idea and then make it into just a one and done? You know, how do I tell an epic black and white story in 60 some odd pages, or like Aaron's going up to 100 pages, which for me, that's kind of where my goal is. My goal is to try to tell, you know, like do 100-page stories where I can get it all in there without compromise, and, you know, really tell a satisfactory story. And then the next is to figure out how I can do one and dones of Chrono every year. So ideally, what I would like to try to get is like a yearly schedule where I'm putting out 2 books. You know, I'm putting out a black and white story, and I'm putting out a Chrono story every year moving forward. And then, kind of like Andy, although, like, I'm more like Andy now, where I try not to, I don't really dream too far in the future or go too far in the future, because I feel like I've been burned. But at the same time, like Graham said, we have to, but with a concrete plan. You know what I mean? How to move forward, but with some realistic way how to get there. You know, and for me, it's trying to figure out that realistic way of doing it. And then after that, it's just, you know, once you're in that place, what I would like to do realistically is I would like to start crowdfunding these ideas, because I've had 2 deals fall through with Hollywood already. I've signed with Circle of Confusion, which is, an agency, and they did Walking Dead. They did The Matrix. It's a very, very, Dave Alpert. I met that guy when that company was next to nothing. They were just starting out. And so I think I still have a relationship with them, but, you know, Comicsgate and the way politics are now, I'm not really sure. And just a year ago, I had a deal with an animation company. It was a big animation company. Contracts were signed and everything to do black and white, the animated. And I don't have direct confirmation of this, but I have, like, they pulled out of the deal. They pulled out of the deal when we started, you know, hiring artists and getting, model sheets done and things like that. And then he just pulled out, and he was very gracious about it. He said, you know, his family, you know, his dad's not feeling well. And he's got to put time into, you know, taking care of his family and all these other things. And so, you know, I didn't say anything. I let it go. But I started realistically thinking, like, if I'm going to move forward on any of these other ideas, which I still do have dreams, I pursued animation for 2-3 years. I quit comic books and I just pursued animation. And so that's when I got the agent, and I did all that. And so for me, I'm kind of thinking realistically, that's not going to happen, because I don't think Hollywood's going to play nice with us. I think maybe, you know, I don't know. I just
they play nice with anyone.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Well, Hollywood worships at the altar of green. So it doesn't matter so much your politics. If they think they can make money on you, they'll open the doors to you and suck your dick.
Yeah. Well, I could really use a good dick sucking
That's
right
the
now.
casting couch. Hey now.
But you guys understand. But for me, like I do look at kind of Pedro Ang as, like, he's kind of my partner right now, because we're pursuing animation and we're talking about crowdfunding it. So we're going to take it to CG, you know what I mean? And we're going to try to see how those things go. Like Ethan Van Sciver, I know that his toys are probably a break even, because I have friends that make toys. Dan does too. It's expensive, especially these, like if they're jointed. You know, if they move and stuff like that, the tooling involved and the molds and stuff.
Well,
it's crazy.
There's all that, but there's the minimum orders, right? Like they won't even turn on their machine unless you do so many
X amount. Yeah. So it's very, very expensive to do. But he's doing it, and creating that reality, making that stuff happen is it goes beyond any odds. The odds games are so stacked against that.
Yeah, but there's guys that have done, I don't know if you want to call it, well, I mean, it was crowdfunding. I don't know if they would have couched it that way, but have done some animation studio stuff that has been, you know, wasn't Klaus, wasn't that started out as a crowdfunding thing to raise money to get it going, and then ended up being a theatrical release? And
well, there's my buddy Todd, Tom, and Tony Bancroft, who have,
they do
have
that.
Pencilish,
Yeah.
and they're crowdfunding stuff and things like that as well. So it has been done. It's just a matter of also finding a partner that's willing, you know, to kind of dip their toes in CG and get involved, because that's still I mean, we went when Black and White first launched, when we did the first issue, we were looking at all kinds of colorists, and they were all like, yeah. And then the more because this was before CG had a reputation, and they started looking into it, and they were dropping one after the other. Some of them were like, could I use a different name, you know, stuff like that. Even Brian Miller, you know, Hi-Fi was involved with Black and White for a while, and then the heat was too much, and he pulled out. And I don't blame anybody for that. You know, I understand. But the thing is, finding, you know, partners like this is going to be a little challenging moving forward. So even if you could crowdfund, and even if you can make the money, you got to get some people that are involved already with CG. And there's a lot of talented people out there that, you know, can do these things. So I think go ahead.
I was going to say, to answer your 5-year question, though, maybe that's the other thing, is like, what is the environment going to be like 2 years, just even 2 years from now? It may be totally flipped.
Yeah. Well, let's
we might be the power brokers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, things could change very quickly. You know, especially since there's so much political kickback right now, or blowback, not kickback. There is kickbacks all the time, but blowback to this kind of woke agenda stuff. I mean, you're starting to see that the people pushing the woke agenda do really represent about 12% of the population, and everybody else is like getting sick of it and starting to push back. So who knows, 2 years from now, this whole thing may be flipped. You know what I mean? And access that we don't have right now, because certain people are in power, they may not be in power anymore, and suddenly that access is there again. So
yeah, anything could happen. Like everything that we're speculating on right now that might be an obstacle may not be an obstacle, you know, in a few years.
Sure.
So but to have those goals and to kind of be realistic about where we're at right now, I think for me moving forward is also a concern, you know, because I would love to kind of get some people involved, and I have friends that do, you know, all kinds of film work and special effects and things like that, and I could call them up, but I also understand that I'm going to have that conversation with them. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, CG, what's that? You know, and then you have to explain, it's not what Wikipedia says, it's not all those things. You've known me, you know, for 30 years, you know, I'm a good guy, you know, blah, blah, blah. And so those things become little bit of challenges. So I like what Daily Wire's doing. I like what some of these companies are doing, where they're insulating themselves, and they're just kind of becoming more of their own entertainment, you know, facilities. Like they're doing animation, they're doing TV shows, they're doing all these things, but they're not relying on the outside. Because one thing I think we all can agree on, like especially when COVID hit and the lockdowns hit, we were all independent of that. For the first time in my career, I wasn't scared. You know what I mean? Because I knew that these books, all these CG books were these campaigns were heating up. Everybody was making money. We were moving books. People were happy, and we didn't have to worry about Diamond. We didn't have to worry about Marvel, DC, you know, all this stuff. And so I do think if we can move forward, and I know you're always going to have to partner with certain people, right? But if we can stay insulated, you know, and CG could kind of like do their own animation or short, you know, one and dones or serialized, like my favorite is just like, you know, like these serialized action adventure, like Flash Gordon and Shazam and Superman and even Batman had like these short little serials, you know, Looney Tunes, you know, Three Stooges, you know, these were all shorts before the movie. Like, so I'm thinking more like moving forward to do shorts. So Pedro and I are talking about like just animation shorts that might lead into a bigger storyline, but where we just put one of the stories out there, we finance it. And then if that does well, like 3 to 5 minutes, then we go to the next one, and so on and so forth. And hopefully by the end of however much time, then we have like a significant series that maybe tells a complete whole story. So that's what I would really like to do moving forward, because I don't like asking for permission. I don't like having to be something I'm not to get something I want, all that stuff. I've had 40 plus years of that. I would really like to work with people that want to be here, that understand it, and that you don't have to coerce or con or convince or any of that other crap, So that's kind of my game plan moving forward. I love animation. I always have. I think when you guys brought up Walt Disney, I mean, that's a big thing, but also you really do have to have that partner in crime. And for me also, just the biggest thing is just money. Money can make everything happen. So if we can start funding, maybe come out with these, for me anyways, come out with these things more frequently, so I can have more revenue coming in, then I can start thinking about expanding and doing these other things.
Right.
But trust us, everybody listening right now, we all have goals beyond where we're at right now. And I'm trying to not hold back anymore. I'm trying to think like the sky is the limit, right? This is blue sky stuff. We can do anything we want. All we have to do is work a little harder, and then, hopefully bring some people in to it and finance these things and entertain you guys. Let me get this Jasper Plan 9, $4.99. Bros, man. I like others. Feel this movement is fragile. Do you have thoughts on outreach beyond Indiegogo and YouTube? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Well, let's do a round robin real quick. Andy, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, other than YouTube, I learned in South Carolina from talking to Rainey. I always knew about Rumble, but what I didn't know is it's super easy to back all your current YouTube stuff up to Rumble and sync it. So if something happens with your YouTube, everything is on Rumble as well. So, I mean, I've created a Rumble account. I got to push it more, because with them, you need to have 100 subscribers to do a live stream. Other than that, you can just post videos.
Can you do both simultaneously? Can you like stream? So you have to stream twice, or you said you want to stream live. Can you stream live on YouTube and it's also live on Rumble?
You can. I don't know. Like StreamYard doesn't have a thing for Rumble. I know you can, because Steven Crowder does that. He does YouTube and Rumble at the same time.
He must use a different platform.
Yeah, yeah.
OBS, or maybe even 2 laptops. You have to get 2 computers.
Well, I know.
2 cameras.
Scott Adams does 2 different platforms at the same time. He does YouTube and locals at the same time, and he actually has 2 iPads going at the same time.
You could do camera 1, camera 2.
But anyhow, so yeah, I mean, when it comes to the YouTube thing, it was real easy to set up a Rumble account just to have it and just to sync it. So everything is now, it's been a couple weeks, everything's backed up over there. When it comes to Indiegogo and crowdfunding, I mean, over the past few days, we've seen what's gone on with, Mike Barron's campaign and Shane's new campaign and stuff, being shadow banned. And like John Malin said last night, he's reached out to him. And it is one of those things I try not to think malicious right out of the gate. I kind of like to think, oh, it could just be forgot to press this button or something like that.
Right.
So hopefully that'll come back and it'll be rectified, and it won't be anything that was malicious. I know, Mandy's doing her own thing on her own website for one of her next books.
Well, there's ISOM,
and ISOM,
there's Eric July.
Right. He did his own thing. So, I mean, there's other ways, but for me at least, Indiegogo is working well. So I'll stick with them. So
how about you, Dan? Like, you got any thoughts about this? Like the fragility of what we're doing as far as the platforms and the partnering that we have to do at this point?
I thought about that back when stuff went down with Dynamic Forces, and I realized with with that situation that you kind of have to take inventory of your vulnerabilities. And like at this point, our vulnerabilities as a group are our streaming platform, our crowdfunding platform, and shipping, U.S. mail, right?
Mhm.
So if you look at it as a sort of a checklist of things to kind of create invulnerability, I would go with what Andy says as far as like having backup plans, but also having a way to encourage people to go that way. There are some people, I forget his Owen Benjamin or Benjamin Owen. He's
I
a
know who that
comedian.
is.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he got banned and wasn't allowed to be on any platform, right? And I think it's Vox Day, I think is his name. They got their own server, right? Their own server, and they had it hosted in Europe, so it can't be taken down. And their followers basically went over there, and there's a paywall, but they're able to do what they want to do and do it that way. But also, I don't know. I'm the kind of guy that I play ball. I have my own opinions. None of my opinions are very dangerous. I mean, they they're unpopular, and lefties will call us istophobes and all that other stuff. But I always say, you search high and low, you're not going to find any receipts on that.
Yeah.
So there's keeping your nose clean, which everybody here pretty much does. Have backup plans, obviously, as far as like for all those things. I do like the idea of what Eric July did. It seems unique. I also like something centralized. That's the thing that's kind of tough is if you're only speaking to your audience, the chance for growth is hard. It's like I know by looking at my Indiegogo numbers that there's a very high percentage that was discovered. What do they call it? Discovered or discoverable. That the traffic came from people being on their site going, oh, what's that? It didn't come from YouTube. It didn't come from Twitter.
Right.
It came from, that looks cool. What's that? And that's a huge chunk of what made the funding possible.
And also, there's a certain level of confidence that consumers have when they use a brand. So if it's Indiegogo or Kickstarter, those are brands that they understand. If it's completely independent and they don't understand the platform, there's a level of trust that that may or may not be there.
That's
So
right.
Graham, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think all those platforms are growable. And I'm not willing to cut loose from any of them yet. But as I said earlier, I'm a guy that likes to stick irons in different fires. I don't like putting eggs in one basket. And I'm going to, I think when I launch my Shinu plushie, I'm going to do it on my website because I have the backer lists already. I know the folks that are going to be interested in it, and I can cut out the percentage that they take, the 5% they take from the campaign, plus the credit card fees that they take, and I don't have to. If there's a problem, I can deal with it. Whereas like at Indiegogo, there's no phone number to call. It's a colossal pain in the ass if you've got something seriously happening
Yeah.
to your campaign, like what's happening with Mike Barron or what's happening with Shane, to get an answer from these knuckleheads. That is the most troublesome thing to me. I don't go to a dark place when I hear something happened immediately. It could be a mistake. It could be a glitch, like the glitch that happened this past weekend where people were ordering stuff and it wasn't going through. They weren't getting receipts. And it seems like they fixed that, so I'm happy about that. But you always got to keep your options open and try to hit things from different perspectives. So to grow the business and
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you try different platforms, you might be attracting a different audience as well, and then you can always bring those into, like, one of the Comicsgate things early on was to try to bring new audience people in to what we're doing here.
My website has a store, so like, and I've had some very nice regular sales when I promote it and stuff. So if I set up, like when I do the Shanu plushie, as opposed to a crowdfunding thing, because I'm going to have the units in hand before I launch, so I could set it up like a store, set up a sign up sheet, have people sign up for it ahead of time, so I know what my a rough number, what my numbers are going to be, have them produced, and then put it up on the store, and then there's not a trust issue. It's an established store using PayPal, credit card, all that kind of stuff.
And you can ship, as the orders come in.
And I ship it as the orders come in, exactly, right out the door. So I'm going to see how that works and how my backers respond to that on a smaller launch project, as opposed to doing a big book where I've got much more invested in it.
Yeah, I've done that. I got my website. It's usually, in the description on most of my YouTube shows, Art by Thibert. And so it's like, if you promote it, people come. Usually if you don't, then it just kind of lingers. So it's just like anything else. It's like everything we do. If you go on, you talk about it, then people go, oh, you can buy original artwork, on art site. You can buy chrono books, on art site, whatever it is. And
swag, merch.
Yeah. And that's always a good thing to have, as just, if nothing more than just another source of revenue, which is what I look at it, with the original artwork and stuff like that. So Billy, how do you feel about what Jasper said?
I'm with you guys 100% on all those things. Just like you, Graham, we have BillyTucci.com and we have our store on it and all, but we're also going into comic shops. I'm going to try that again. We'll start with our omnibus edition.
Sure.
Try to reach that other audience that doesn't pay attention to YouTube, or the fans that aren't on Twitter, with all the big mouths that don't buy comics anyway. So, why not give it a shot? I think that people are hankering for something. If manga is doing so well, and, superhero books are such a small percentage of sales, why not try to get in comic shops? I'm under no delusions whatsoever that I'll get any press from any of the mainstream comic press. But then again, we haven't needed to use them anyway. Yeah. I got no press when she, #1, first hit in the comic shops. No one knew what it was. So we're going to, right now, with our 3 books, our 3, she campaigns, 4 she campaigns that we have and we fulfilled. I've got an omnibus, a 500-page omnibus, and then I have 9 issues already in the can. So I'm going to break them down into floppies, do a new cover. It won't, of course, have the nice, the same type of paper. It's floppy, something cheaper for comic shops, reprints, and try to reach another audience with that. See how well we can do with it.
Well, the good thing is if nothing else, it's advertising, right? So you're putting the product there in front of consumers' eyes that they can see and that they know that it exists. So if nothing more, it's a form of advertising.
Right, absolutely. And
you can put house ads in there for your campaigns.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's what Brian Polito does. Brian Polito has, he puts out 32-page comics. The Lady Death stories, the same thing. He broke up all his Lady Death Kickstarters that he's done. And it's maybe 22 to 24-page pages of story and art. And then he has 8 pages of ads. It's almost like, going to the south of the border, every time you see another billboard.
And if you guys are like me, as long as the ads
well with it, we don't have any delusions of grandeur that we're going to make a lot of money on it, but it really is the exposure part, the advertising part. That's what we're really looking at for it.
Sure.
Get it out there and you never know.
Yeah.
You grow it.
And for me, as long as the ads are entertaining, I don't mind a lot of ads. So Aaron, where are you at on this, Jasper?
Well, there's, I agree with everything everybody's saying, but I think it's, and I think probably all of us realize this, but it's something to keep in mind is that we think that we have this large platform that's reaching a ton of people. And I mean, I don't know if someone probably knows the numbers. I guess somebody like Graham would probably know the numbers on this, but it's like if you have, say you're on Facebook, let's take Facebook because everybody has a finite number of 5,000 that can follow them on their personal page, right?
Right.
So if you
More
post
like
something
100.
on Facebook, how many people do you think actually see it?
20.
And then out of those people that actually see it, how many people actually go to the campaign page and look at it? And then, of course, out of the people that go to the camp, how many of them actually order? You know what I mean? And so we get this idea that, oh, I've got, 9,000 whatever followers on Twitter. I've got 10,000 on Instagram. I've got 5,000 on Facebook, and I've got another 9,000 on my Facebook Aaron Lopresti art page, right? That should be enough to, fuel this campaign. But you keep posting and posting and posting, and you think everybody sees it. And just as an example, I had a guy email me 2 days ago, said, hey, I just discovered your Wraith of God campaign, my original one, not the one I just launched, but my original one. And I want just by happenstance. And he's like, and you think to yourself, that campaign, and he wanted to buy a book, right? So I had an extra one, so I sold it to him. But you sit there and think, this campaign has been open for 14 months, or that it's been, it's been on Indiegogo, and this guy is just now finding it. And I've been, promoting it like crazy, but that's how it is. There's a huge audience out there, and figuring out ways to get in front of them is the trick, right? And I don't know that there's an easy answer for that, because if you only have X amount of your population is actually on social media, and only a certain amount of that of the audience is interested in comics, and only a certain amount of that, you know what I mean? And it just keeps getting narrower and narrower. So you have to hit the biggest swath possible of people to get a good number in there.
Also, with social media like Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that, what I learned with these crowdfunds is you can cycle through those people really quickly. You know what I mean? Like they're only good for so much. And then you have to, the first week, all my Facebook people, came in and backed the campaign, and then what? So you can never just rely on one platform.
Right. And the interesting thing is, we talk about, the mainstream comics and people in mainstream comics not liking us and having a bad opinion of us and spreading rumors and all this kind of crap. But then you go to a show, and I got people coming up to me, oh, sign my Wonder Woman book, and all this kind of stuff. And you're like, they don't even have a clue about this drama that's going on, on Twitter on a daily basis, right? And so it just goes to show you that there is a huge audience out there that, we got to figure out a way to reach them beyond, as Jasper said, beyond what this core, because I don't know how big this core CG audience is. I mean, you guys are great because you prop us up, but how big is this audience really, and how expansive can it be right here before we have to figure out ways to reach other people that aren't even watching YouTube,
Right.
And it's all the above. It's like Graham was saying, don't put all the eggs in one basket. It's all the above. Like what Billy's doing is going into the comic shops. Like this all brings people in, in different ways, reaches a different audience, and so on and so forth. One of the things Ethan Van Sciver always said early on is like he had his Star Wars thing. So his Star Wars was getting him connected with the bigger world of YouTube and things like that. So he was bringing Star Wars people into CG. So if we all have our little niche, then we can bring that group of people in and share not only our own IPs with them, but other, all of, CG's IPs with them. And I don't think, I agree. I don't think most people really care about those things. It's like 10% on Twitter.
No, I have no idea. Most
Yeah.
people have
And
no
it's- and I mean,
clue.
the key here is time, right? I mean, it just takes time to expand your audience, regardless of what you're
Right.
doing, and you have to be consistent, and it will grow. If you're consistent with your messaging and you're consistent with your product and you're consistently out there pushing, it will grow, whether that's through word of mouth or whatever, but it takes time.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
So
definitely.
you got to stick with it, right? That was the problem with Marvel and DC. They throw out a title, the numbers aren't great after 5 issues, and they cancel it, right?
Cancel.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
it's got to be out there. For how many years did it take for a lot of people to, on their independent projects, just in the mainstream, right? When maybe they were getting bigger exposure than we were because they were in comic shops and whatever, for something to really start picking up steam and then become something over the long term. I mean, how long did Cerebus the Aardvark have to be out there before it started becoming sort of a hit there for a while? I mean, it wasn't just a couple of issues, you know.
Or somebody like Billy, who's never stopped. You've had highs and lows, but you kept the faith, and you kept
got
putting it out.
Fan base now because you've been consistent and with the product and with your messaging and being out there all the time, and that's what it takes.
Right.
Oh, Billy's out there. Believe
me. He's out there. He is so far out there.
Woo, he's out there. I just want to say welcome, Michael Bancroft. I'm seeing interest in hyper masculinity. Yeah, I think some of that.
Bancroft?
Oh, and by the way, he did say in the chat, Michael did say in the chat that when he streams, he does go to Rumble as well. There's a way to set it up in
StreamYard. Yeah, yes. I don't know how. That's beyond me.
You just have to go to destinations and then custom, and then it kind of tells you how to do it.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm going to the chat. I got to catch up. You guys keep talking.
Okay, I was going to say one of the hurdles we have to address is constantly bringing in a younger audience. Because as it is now, I think it's clear the demographics of our audience that support crowdfunding and stuff is anywhere between 35 and 60. We need to get those key 18 to 35s in here. They're tech savvy. They're not afraid to spend money online either. But we have to figure out a way to reach them and bring them over for our content as well.
I'm going to do live nudity. That's what I'm going to do.
I might bring in the geriatric crowd, Art, but I don't know you're going to bring in the younger audience.
Oh, wait till you see this body. Don't you judge me prematurely.
We won't judge you prematurely. He'll do something else prematurely.
Okay, well, Jolly Roger, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I'm sorry, I'm way behind in the chat. Why don't you try connecting with Daily Wire? They have the funds and they are looking for creators. I am doing that. I do. I want to go through my agent because I'm having a little bit of hard to get the door open. But I'm also just afraid if I get my agent involved, that it might be tipping my hat, getting myself in trouble there too. So I am looking into it. I actually got connection through Eric July. So I am in the process of talking to them. And I do think that that's a good place for some of my cartoon projects to be. So keep going, Graham. I'm sorry. What were you saying, Graham?
I finished my statement.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well,
what were you saying?
Game over.
Yeah, we'll wrap this up soon. But I think I got a few super chats here, and I want to see, make sure that I get everybody's in the chat, see what they're saying. Randy Howe, $5. Thank you so much for international shipping. Try UPS mail. Innovations, ask UPS to add mail innovations to your account and you can access it from ShipStation. Oh, very good. Thank you. That's a great thing about this something
to look into. This
community too is very helpful. He's a monster. I love that theme song. Yeah, I just saw a whole thing on Chuck Bears and the Dragula and the coach. I love those old TV cars.
Oh yeah.
I truly respect the gentlemen in this room. I kid not. Some of the last of the true ink slingers. Some of you all draw fast. I love it. Hail bros. Hell yeah. Thank you so much. He's a monster. I do appreciate that. So do you want to go over campaigns real quick and bid this? Oh, wait, shit. Wow, these are good problems to have. Thank you so much, Brian Blevins, for $5 super chat. How do you guys feel about doing a professionals whatnot with all of you selling OG art and signed books?
Whatnot's awesome.
Money, art or Andy hates my artwork. Is that
Oh,
true, Andy?
stop it. No,
Oh,
it's not
Andy
true.
Smith. You let it go, Andy. I mean,
Oh, please.
why the hate?
I do a
Andy?
whatnot with a group of you guys. I did kind of look into it, but then I just kind of forgot about it. But
What
I
is
did
the
one.
whatnot?
I did
don't know.
one, and it was a lot of fun. I don't know how you do like a multicast like this,
right.
but it was a lot of fun. I mean, the interaction was great, and you're selling live. It's like a CG auction, but it's just you.
Yeah, I'm
And you're
looking
like, you
forward to
guys, we
giving
want
it a
this.
shot.
This is starting at blah blah blah. We have, and they're like 30-second auctions, and the app keeps track of the people bidding, and they keeps track of the shipping, and you print out the print label, the shipping labels, and everything. It's really cool.
That's cool. Yeah, we'll look into that.
There's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah,
That's the
I
problem.
know. Isn't that the thing?
Yeah, I want
Now
to
I got to learn something else.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
working on
2.5
perfecting
in
my
this one.
inking technique.
I want to ask this question. This stream needs jugs. Does anybody have jugs that they want to show off?
I got moobs.
I got moves.
I used to have a nice 44-inch muscular chest, but those it's not there anymore. I
Those
looked the other
days,
day.
those days are gone.
I'm
Let's see
just
what.
glad
Talking
that
about the
ended
Three
with muscular
Musketeers.
chest.
Yeah.
Yes. Talking about
Mike?
the Three Musketeers earlier, Art started off as D'Artagnan, and now he's Porthos.
He's Porthos.
The old waistline.
I always like
like
Porthos. I always like Porthos the best, anyways. I'm loving watching the people who think Twitter is real life freak out right now. Yeah, it's melting down. I think there is some leaning back to normalcy, if you could call it that. Oh my gosh, you guys are awesome. He's a Munster $9.99 again. Thank you, Boss Bill, who is that professional that's missing tonight. Boss
No
Bill.
one.
Who's
Called
missing?
you a jackalope. I still need
That
to
called
back
me.
your book.
Who called poor
called
He's
me-
a Munster a jackalope?
We're all here.
I'm trying to remember. Did I have a conversation this weekend while I was drinking half a
The
fifth of
jackalope
scotch?
comment does sound familiar.
Yeah, it does. Jackalope. Was that when
I
we
don't
were?
remember.
This is it. I mean, this is the professionals. There's
This
never
is-
anybody else
this
on.
is
Right.
Best.
We gatekeep here.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do, man.
We
It's
do.
Well,
us,
I want to just tell
We
you,
had
he's a
someone
monster.
try to join, and we said no.
That's right.
Here we chat.
I just want to say that I do believe there are jackalopes in black and white. So if you want to back that book,
Mhm.
Go back, KOR-DRATH. I probably called you a jackalope. It was me. You just don't recognize it because I shaved all this. It's
you
all
shaved off your jackalope
Okay, so predictions, Andy. Not in 5 years, but what are you going to look like in 30 days?
in 30 days.
good. In 30 days. Not.
He's gonna look like EGA.
It doesn't
Remember
grow that
movie?
fast. I mean, there will be a
Aw.
difference.
He's gonna
you
look
know,
like
come
Friar
to Kings.
Tuck.
Come to Kings on Monday, there will be a difference, but
Yeah.
it's not like going to be out the there or
No.
anything.
They're turning on me now. Art is definitely the Zodiac killer.
We all knew that.
Wait a minute. What gave it away? Well, thank you
Oh,
so
there
much,
go.
Brian.
See, Brian, I love you too.
Bankrupt
Yes.
just said Andy's so full of hate.
Oh, Michael, you silly
Andy is the
goose.
most well-adjusted out of all six of us.
That's weird because I think out of all six of us, I'm the only one that takes medication for attitude adjustment. So
Well,
you
there
go.
you go. Well, you need to pass on some
That's
of that.
good to know for the
medication.
next Comic-Con.
I give medication for attitude adjustment. You know what I'm saying?
that's right.
There's your attitude adjustment. Yeah. All right, Andy. How about KOR-DRATH? Why don't you share some of this this fantastic crowd
All right,
fund extravaganza, as the kids say?
You can share my screen. I'll just share the spread that's up.
Oh, can
This
I?
is on the campaign, but it's lettered now. Page 4 is up there, lettered and colored as well. I finished inking page 5 today. And KOR-DRATH The Reckoning, 17 more backers to crack that beautiful 1,000 backers. So there's lots of stuff up there. 5 covers to choose from, 2 different t-shirts, a beanie, lots of cool stuff. Go check it out. There's already free stuff with the stretch goals that have been unlocked. So everybody's going to be getting more than just the book when they back it. So go check it out and back it today.
That thing looks fantastic. Look
Yeah,
at
that's
that
great.
action.
And there's room
Yeah.
for word balloons. Well done.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Son of a-
I think
There they are.
after 30 some years of doing it, I like to think I know how to leave room. So
Great
Dan,
job, Andy.
There you
Dan,
go.
are you listening?
Dan knows what he's doing.
I still
Dan
can't
knows what he's
believe
doing.
that.
You guys have been infected by John Malin.
I know that John
Oh, I
Malin
have.
said that. Well, Dan, what do you got? You got your campaign. You want to?
Yeah, Black Flag. But I want to talk about the campaigns that are shadow banned. We don't know what's going on with them, but we got Shane Davis had launched his book, Inglorious Rex 2. That's out, and if anybody hasn't backed it yet, go back it.
Yeah, it looks
He launched it on
fantastic.
Sunday, and did extremely well considering that if you look for it, even on
can't find
Indiegogo,
it.
you can't find it. So
Mm-mm.
shine a spotlight on that. That's about all I have to say about that.
Let's also point out Mike Barron's.
Yeah,
Private
American.
really does need a boost. It's a quality story. It's ripped out of the headlines, as he likes to say, and as a result of that, it's shadow banned because somebody got their knickers in a twit. So Mike
Not
Barron.
only that, but can you believe Twitter took down the actual page for the book?
What?
That is ridiculous. Yeah, Twitter. He had a Private
Oh
American Twitter
yes.
Twitter page, and they took it
Yeah.
down.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, but that was before Musk took over. Maybe he should try and repost it and see
I
if it'll
know.
stay.
Well, that's true.
Indeed, and also John Malin's Graveyard Shift. Is it supplemental Omega? Is it Omega Force? What the
Omega
hell is it?
Storm.
Omega
John's
Storm.
is shadow banned too.
No, I'm just
No,
saying
no.
that we should
Actually, it is.
encourage people to go look at that campaign too, because it's live. And one thing about Malin's campaigns is he doesn't go in demand. So if you want to get that, book,
It is shadow banned actually.
Yeah,
Oh,
somebody in
really?
the studio or in the chat says it is.
Well, some of the speculation, you guys, is that there's certain. Now we all know why Mike's is, but it's politics. But for the rest of these books, it could be violent content on the page itself, or sexual content. What they may have some problems with some of that stuff, but the problem is they have not made it clear what their standards are, community standards are. And so they're penalizing people who are ignorant of them and don't know if, well, can I do this or not? So I believe that's probably at the core of what this is. It's not we're picking on CG guys, because I'm not shadow banned. Andy's not shadow banned.
Yeah.
Graham's not. Billy's not. Dan's not. So it's got to be something else.
The odd thing, Aaron, is that when I had my Shanu campaign up, I had a severed head flying across the page on that, and it never got.
well, sometimes
maybe
I think
somebody
these
didn't blow me
corporations.
in.
Well, I think sometimes these corporations, they just go, well, we need to enforce this, so they get a hair up their tuchus, and then they go, well, we need to get on this,
Right. So they haven't been enforcing it. Now they are enforcing it, but they're not telling anybody, right?
Right. So he's a monster. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. $1.99, Truth, Justice, and American Way. So Gabe's book, definitely go check that out. I believe that's in demand. That thing looks fantastic.
Yeah, well, it's got David Williams doing the artwork.
David Williams, yeah.
David is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jasper Plan 9 says it's in the page's source code, and he found the lines that need to be edited.
Okay.
So
right, yeah, it is in the source code, but why is it there is still the question, because they have parameters set up, or someone just jacking around. So
well, it's a plausible, explanation that maybe there's just some violence and things like that. And in this case, there is some stuff there. So, who knows? But how about you, Graham?
Well, if you want to share my screen.
I do want to share your screen.
Yeah.
Where the hell is it? Ghost of
I'm
MATECUMBE
super excited about this
Key.
project, The Ghost of MATECUMBE Key. This is the book that's going to tie all my projects together. The Shanu, Alien Alamo, Joe Frankenstein, Monster Island, Return to Monster Island. All that stuff is going to be clear how in this universe they all connect together.
And the key is what you want to say is it's Art Thibert and his dog Arrow.
Well, yes, when we scroll down, we're going to see Art and Arrow making a cameo. And in fact, all the bros are making a cameo in this book.
We're probably all dying too.
It's no,
there's some ass beatings, but not everybody dies.
No one makes it out alive.
So we got swagger. We got a glow in the dark cover. We got an EC Comics cover. We have an embossed cover by Kelly Jones. We got shirts, and then I've got a couple commissions up here too. If you get a Compass Comics character commission, it's half the price of my usual commissions, which are the corporate comics commissions. Those are $1,500, and if you want any of my characters, it's only $750 for an 11x17 full cover quality commission. So that's a really good deal.
That's super.
Who is this?
Ooh, looks familiar.
It's
Art.
Arrow and Art. And Art has to change his undies now.
I just shite my pants.
Great underlighting, Graham. Excellent underlighting.
Yeah, Greg Wright did the great colors on this. So yeah, this is it's going to be a great project. You guys have backed the other books. You're really going to like this. If you haven't done so, please go ahead and back this. It will be much appreciated. I added another 14 days to the campaign before we go in demand. So it's still live. So go get it, son.
Go get it, son.
Get it, boy.
All right. I see something here lurking, and it's...
Yeah. Oh, so here's what's weird is that we closed this last night, and it's still live. And now
it takes a couple days, I think.
Yeah, but I'm like, oh my God, we're almost at 169,000. So I ain't saying nothing.
Yeah.
So I guess it does take a couple of days, but holy crap! Imagine we could hit 170. Would be.
But you know what? They say it can take a couple days. But when I closed, I think it was either Two-Fisted Man-Tails or Alien Alamo. It closed like 10 minutes after I hit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, mine was a couple
was.
hours and it was closed.
Going an extra day. I'm like, oh shit.
Well,
that's how mine was for First Man.
A few weeks ago, they actually did close this campaign, and none of us did. Debbie didn't, I didn't, and they just automatically closed it. So then Deb reached out and said, "Wait a minute, we did not close this campaign."
Right.
So maybe that we're still in this. I don't know. I'm not saying nothing. Because it'd be kind of cool to hit 170.
Yeah. Well, you are stones throw away from that happening. So you guys back this. You have no idea how long this is going to last.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm going to take this. Thank you so much for the $1.99 super chat. I shadow banned myself.
No.
And here's a little advice. Patrick Thomas Parnell's campaign was also shadow banned. Not sure why on that. But we got this too. Who called me a jack? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go back KOR-DRATH, I'll call you a jackalope.
Yeah, I'll call you whatever you want.
All right, you jackalope.
Right?
You damn jackalope.
You darn jackalope. I won't curse though.
All right. Oh shit. This is a good problem to have though. Ball Cap Cop, New York. Who was it? This is very cryptic. I have no idea.
Oh, was it? I don't think it was on our show. I think it was Barron. Wasn't it Barron?
Was it Mike Barron?
Yeah, it might have been on Comicsgate.
Yeah,
Kings.
I think it was on a different.
Oh, it could have been on Kings then. Yeah.
Well, you see one old guy, you seen them all.
That's true.
Yeah, they all look alike.
That's right. When you get up to your age.
You need to respect your elders, Aaron.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, Aaron. Because
just don't ask Mike Barron his plans in 5 years.
Yeah, okay.
You're not going to have all that energy and that smile forever, Aaron.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Hey,
regardless of your insult, Aaron, here you go.
Thank you. Hey, I wanted to point out to everybody that we are now $435 ahead of Irene. So let's just keep building and space that out a little bit. Give me a little comfort zone in the race. This is now 100 pages for $25. Call me crazy. You're getting the Wraith of God story, which... You know what I do? I don't know about you guys. When I write my scripts, I usually I write the important stuff like the character stuff and the moral of the story and all that kind of stuff. Fight pages, I estimate. I go 3 pages of them fighting, and then I move on to the good stuff again. But then when I go back in and flesh out the fight scenes, inevitably those sequences grow to a few more pages. So originally this was supposed to be a 45-page Wraith story. Now it's looking like 50. But so anyway, it may even get a little bit over 100 pages, the whole thing, because I have backup stories in this. And much like Graham was talking about tying in his universe with Ghosts of Matecumbe Key, I am expanding my universe. I teased some stuff in the Wraith of God graphic novel, and it's going to start playing out here in the backup stories. We have 4 cover options: the Bisley cover, the wraparound cover, which is cover A option. We have the Tales of Suspense, which sort of features the backup stories, Garbage Man and the Nightclub, on the cover there. And then we have the Tomb of Dracula #1 tribute cover. Those are all 4 cover options are available to you. There's going to be, as I said, the lead story, which is going to be Wraith of God, which I'm working on right now. I'm on page 11 of that. Here's the first 2 pages colored by our own Dan Lawless of the Garbage Man story, which is Night of the Living Jed. So we're going to get some more Garbage Man and start to expand that a little bit more and how he ties into everything, along with the Nightclub, which has direct ties to Wraith of God. So it's not just random stories stuck in here. They all sort of tie into the Lopresti verse. And so it is must reading. And then, of course, the extra bonus, everybody's been bugging me for years. When are we going to get some Kit Carter? Well, gosh darn it, you're going to get 15 pages of Kit Carter in this book as a stretch goal. So it's a great value. You've got limited edition signed and numbered Garbage Man print. You've got the Ruffs Ash Can, which is 48 pages of layouts for the book. So you get to kind of see behind the scenes and what my layouts look like before I go to finished work. You get the Phil Diaz trading card if you signed up early. You get that for free. And then look at all these great T-shirts. Those are selling like hotcakes. The Empire Comics baseball cap. You can still get a Garbage Man trade paperback, and you can get shot glasses with Wraith of God or Garbage Man etched into them. So there's just all sorts of groovy stuff. And if I can just show this real quick, if you give me full screen just for a second, Art, and then I'll shut up.
Okay, here we go.
This is the artwork for the back cover of B, C, and D. Of course, A is a wraparound cover, so that's already established. But on the covers B, C, and D, the other 3 covers, this will be the back cover image. This baby is going up for sale on the campaign page sometime this week. I'll send out an update to let you guys know ahead of time before it goes up.
I have a problem with that. There's one thing is there's a rattlesnake there. I think you need to get some white out and take that thing out of there.
Yeah, it's a little too edgy. Do you think?
I hate snakes.
Well, you're a killer of snakes, Art.
Yeah.
Art's a killer of snakes.
I just killed a black racer the other day.
You don't have to, a black racer. That's just like a garden snake, right? I mean,
Yeah, but I still don't like them. They'll bite,
man, I
they'll
thought
bite
you meant
the
a
dog.
biker.
Oh, how dare you? That was horrible.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, we
said
got one last thing, and that I need to hit this present button, and I need to present to you guys perhaps the greatest campaign of all time.
Well, it's certainly the greatest black and white
KOR-DRATH.
campaign of all time.
Hell
There you
yeah.
go.
We have been in demand for a while, but don't let that slow you down. Black and White Volume 2, Man versus Machine. This will be the epic origin conclusion. So I want to thank each and every one of you guys for backing and supporting CG, and all the supporters are the best. You guys are making this 25-year dream come true. So the link is in the description, as is with all of these books. So you can click on them, come by, look in your leisure time, and see what we have available for you guys. Thank you guys. We got a few backers during this live stream. I do appreciate that. You guys are the best. And if I can push my luck a little bit more, I want to show off a page that I'm still kind of working on, doing some cleanups digitally and whatnot. But here are the pages right here. So
Nice.
yeah,
Great, bro. Looks
Art,
fantastic.
you just
Yeah,
done tremendous
beautiful.
Look at that butt.
the butt.
I love the hair.
butt.
Nice.
Oh, she has hair.
Hang on, let me go full screen on that.
Okay, wait.
There
Okay,
you
wait.
go. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Butt. Who's got the
Hello.
butt? Yeah, there you go. This is for
Dude, what's
Andy.
up with the dude with the soul patch?
The what?
The dude with the soul patch lying down his back right there.
Oh, he got his ass handed to him. This guy is JC, and he does think he's God. So he got his just desserts right there.
There you go.
Yeah,
He got his comeuppance, huh?
Yeah. So you guys, the book is a treat to draw every day. I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to entertain you with my my artwork and my storytelling, and I'm having the time of my life. So thanks to each one of you guys. You're the best. And on that note, let me check the chat real quick. I think we're good. So it was a little longer than usual. I do appreciate you guys hanging out. If you could give a thumbs up on your way out, if you haven't. And this has been another Brofessionals. We have been spilling the ink for you guys. And next week it is it Graham?
Billy.
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 Yeah.
Billy.
Yeah, I was even thinking of it. Maybe we'll talk shadow banning.
Ooh, yeah. We already have a topic. Shadow
Boring.
banning.
It is?
Boring.
All right, we'll
How
find
dare
something.
How
exciting.
dare
Have I
you?
let you down in the past?
Never.
Never, ever.
All right, you guys.
One time.
Yeah, there was that one time. This is a treat, as always. Look forward to this every week, hanging out with my favorite 6 bros here, 5 bros, I guess, and the chat. Thanks to everybody for hanging out with us, and thanks for the super chat.
Very much.
And we'll see you next week on Billy Tucci's channel. And you guys don't forget the Pontificators tomorrow night at 7 Eastern Standard Time. We're going to talk conspiracies, UFOs, and all kinds of craziness. So it's going to be a fun live stream. So
Flat Earth.
Flat Earth is real, bitches. See you guys next week.
Have a good night.